Hello, everyone. Welcome into my latest live broadcast. It's Sunday, the 19th of October, 2025. I'm CareyHolzman, and today, a computer repair, a diagnostic and repair. This is a machine I built. This is why I put labels on the side. This tells me when I built it. I don't need to know the exact day, and it says built in April of 2022. And it's been down for, I don't know, 6 months, maybe 10 months. The customer is quite a distance from me, so we've been trying to figure out how to get it over here. And finally, obviously, it's here. This has a very bizarre problem I have never, ever seen before in my entire career. And we'll see if it does the same thing for you guys live on camera, because it's worth recording it. And then we'll figure out why it's happening, or at least which part is at fault, and replace that part. Other than that, it's fairly new. It's going to run Windows 11 just fine. And that's our goal for today. But before we get started, a hello and welcome into everybody joining us. I see John says hello. Francisco Oma says hello. There's Mark Gaines and Scott and John Williams. I also see Arnold Albert and Lou Greenia, Dustin Fuller, Sherlock, and I'm getting there, Doman 2000, as well as Nicholas Barlow. Of course, Mara is in our chat room, our channel administrator, who did a wonderful job on today's thumbnail and titling. Mike Gamer says hello. Matt says hello. Mike's unboxing reviews and how to says, I am looking forward to this one. Me too, Mike. I have been really, really desperately wanting this on my bench. Again, a symptom I've never ever seen before, and I think you're going to have to see it to believe it. At least I did. Now, watch it work perfectly when it's on my bench. I don't think so. But Ben Laird says hello in the chat room. Welcome in. I also see Michael Lavelle says hello. David Herzog, our friend Rick Lakes, and Alex Sasso joining us saying hello. Alex says hello from Falcon, Colorado. Mike's unboxing review says, been working in the store today. Time for feet up and relax. Oh, I'll definitely put you to sleep. No worries. Dennis K joins us along with Jim Kenny. I see, let's see, Patrick T, 3D Everything, Abdul Azim Patel, Dave Leonard, and Paul Connolly joining us. Jonathan Fells joins us. Katrina H says hello. Hector Cruz says hello. Iceman and Ghetto Fortnite joining us, along with LRCX there in California. Saying hello to us, there's Jeff Adams. And Picard 2005 says hello. Brian Weber joining us, saying hello. Welcome in, everybody. Hope you're having a great Sunday. Nice, relaxing Sunday, I hope. And maybe one where we get to witness something you're just never going to see it anywhere else. In my entire career, I have never seen this. And if I explained it to you, you wouldn't believe me. It's a hell of a setup, right? But that's not hyperbole. That is exactly what's going on. Before we get started, I want to remind everybody, our friends over at URCDKeys, they offer discounts on legitimate and supported legal license keys for Windows and Office. If you buy from these shady sellers online, you might get a good copy, you might not. If you have any problems, most of the time, you're on your own. Too bad, so sad. Better luck next time. I don't work with vendors like that, and there's plenty of them online these days. So, you know, people looking to make a quick buck. Consumers are looking to save a quick buck. And when these two meet, it's just greed meeting greed. And you get what you get. You might get lucky, you might not. I can't run the risk of luck on my business. So for that reason, I buy my customers' keys and the keys that I personally use from URCDKeys. And I made sure that when we renegotiated, that for them to continue on here, they must offer all of my viewers a discount, and they must take PayPal. And believe me, that was a negotiation that was not easy. But here they are. Well, that's my email. Here is their website. And as you can see, they've got all of their That's what the website looks like. Now, they do sell other software on the site, just so you know. I'm just really promoting the Windows and Office license keys, but they do support everything they sell. And that 25% off code should work on anything they sell. I don't use it to buy anything else, so you're welcome to use their search and look around for other software you might be looking for. That being said, I hope you take advantage of it. I do not make a commission, so if you buy it or you don't buy it, I'm doing this for the viewers. Let's make it very clear. And you know, they don't tell me, URCDKeys doesn't tell me what to say or how to say it. It's just something that I use myself in my business. I have to have a legitimate and affordable way to get license keys for my customers so I can be competitive against larger manufacturers and pirates, quite frankly. You know, I've got to compete against some pirates out there that are selling stolen operating systems to unknowing customers, and I don't run my business that way. So if you want to know where I'm getting my keys, the secret is out. There's a discount code called Carey that gets you another 25% off. That red box on the screen shows you where to enter that. And then you'll install your operating system or your Office, and then when you're all done, you put your license code in, and it's all good to go. No phone calls are needed. It just activates as you would expect it to. If you run into any problems, they have support. They back it up for 6 months, and then you're good to go. If you run into any issues, anything further than that, reach out to us personally. I'll be glad to help advise if need be. So I want to ensure absolute 100% peace of mind. We're not playing games here. We're not out after the quick buck. We're after the long game. We're building loyalty and we're building relationships, and you don't do that by burning people. So we won't promote a vendor here that burns people, and we ourselves aren't going to burn people. And if you try burning us, you aren't going to be here very long. So it's all the way around. It comes full circle. We all treat each other with care and respect. We look after one another, and we have one of the most amazing communities on the internet. I dare you to find a community, dare you find one that is nicer or more awesome and supportive than this community. And if you feel like that sounds like a group you'd like to hang out with, we would love to have you. So if you're watching these videos live right now, please pop into the chat room and say hello. That's all you have to do. You don't have to engage in any thoughtful conversation. Just say hello and watch what happens. All right, with that, what we've got here is a Corsair 200R. I'd have to look through my videos because I probably filmed me putting this together back in 2022, April of 2022. I don't know, it's in there somewhere. But let me go ahead and take the side panel off. Now, when this came in, it was really dusty. So for full disclosure, I've already removed the side panel because these screws are on so tight. I had to wrench them off with a tool. And then I took it outside with the leaf blower and blew the dust out of it. But that's it. I have not plugged it in since it's been here. That's the only thing I've done off camera because I wanted to share this experience with you in the most genuine, real, authentic way possible so that, you know, what's going to happen is completely without any control. When people edit videos and they write scripts, they're control freaks. They just absolutely can't say something wrong. They absolutely can't forget to say something. They absolutely can't show any mistakes. They, generally speaking, polish all the mistakes out, polish all the misunderstandings out, polish everything they want to say. And let me tell you something. If you and I went out to dinner and you pulled that nonsense on me while we're having a conversation over dinner, I'm going to get up and leave because it's just not the way people interact with each other. That's entertainment or that's advertising. I'm not interested in that. But with that being said, I have a very strong feeling towards keeping things real, transparent, and sharing experiences because me cutting through all the difficulty, cutting through the misunderstanding and misspeaking is not realistic to real life. That's TV. Nothing wrong with it, but there's enough of that in our lives that having reality seems to be pretty rare these days. So maybe if this becomes the new norm, then I'll start making TV and commercials. But right now, the reason I'm so motivated to do this is to add a little bit of reality to those of you who appreciate having some reality in your life when watching YouTube in particular. There's a lot of, between AI, there's just a lot of pretend. There's a lot of clickbait. There's a lot of money grabbing. and there's a lot of lying and exaggeration because it generates more money. You won't find that here, and I call it out constantly. I'm not being a bully. I'm just saying those people have no clue what they're talking about, or they know exactly what they're doing, and they are trying to profit from you by enticing you to click on their video with some clickbaity title. And in some cases, they're not doing any research or due diligence, reporting on gossip. And it turns out the gossip is completely false. Once you start doing the research, a lot of the panicky titles that people will use in their YouTube videos, when you actually do the research yourself and don't expect other people to do it, then you'll find out where the truth is and realize you just got played. Now, if you like to get played, go ahead of me. All right, so here's the inside of this beast. And it's a pretty simple system. We got a couple sticks of RAM in there. We've got our cooler. There's there looks like a Mushkin 512 gig NVMe drive. I bought these Mushkin drives because Mushkin had a really nice reputation years ago. Now nobody's ever heard of them. But I'd never used their drives before. I think they were on sale at Newegg. I bought like 5 or 6. And this client, I want them saving everything on their network attached storage. I don't want them saving things on their computers. I intentionally put a 500 gig or so drive in there because if they call me with support questions regarding the computer's running out of space, that means they're not saving their files where they're supposed to. And I'd rather catch that at 500 gig than catch it at 1,000 gig or 2,000 gig, because then the mess gets bigger. So we intentionally put a smaller drive on here to discourage any local saving of files. These computers do not get backed up. We load Windows, we load Office, we load whatever software each client needs. That also means that if anything happens to this computer, the employee can just go sit at another computer, or if they have spare computers, bring a spare computer out and get right back to work again. We don't want to tie ourselves to a specific machine in a business office with employees. That's bad, bad, bad. When you're a self-employed person, you've got no employees, maybe you're a real estate agent, you work by yourself in a bedroom in the house, you still need to be copying any important data so you have it in 2 places, but you don't necessarily, need to save it onto a network attached storage device. So this is ultimately very critical in avoiding and preventing disasters and catastrophes. So it's designed this way in order to minimize disaster or damage. And it's not meant to harm anybody. It's not meant to, not trust anybody. It's that everybody must follow the rules equally. It doesn't matter how experienced you are, how young, how old, what you believe. You're being hired as an employee to do a job. You will do the job as instructed. And if you're not doing the job as instructed, such as saving your files to your desktop or some silly nonsense like that, it's going to be a short period of time before you run out of space and we find out about it, and you are going to be corrected. And you will either start doing it the way you were told to begin with, that nobody was aware of until you complained about your computer, or you're going to leave the job because you think it's too much hassle to do what you're being asked to do. So that's how we handle it. There's no exceptions. No exceptions. People are allowed to make a mistake. People are allowed to forget, but they won't forget or make that mistake for long when you have a drive this small. My concern with the Mushkin drives is I really didn't know I know the reputation was good, but what's the reality? And I mention all this because I think it has a bad drive, just from the symptom. But let me show you the symptom. Let's plug it in, and you tell me what you think it is. And I can't tell you if you're right and wrong, all right? We're just gonna have to see together. So your guess is just as valid as mine at this point. So I've got the power supply switched off, and of course we're gonna give it power. Oh, look, the customer didn't take out their keyboard or mouse dongle. This always happens. I always tell people, before you bring your computer in for repair, unplug everything, including these, because let me tell you how much it sucks when a customer drives across town, drops off their computer, they leave this in, I set it down, and I forget about it. Then they drive back down, or I drive all the way up to them to bring the computer back across town, and we have no keyboard or mouse. We can't test it. Why? Because I forgot to give this back. Don't give it to me. Don't give me your power cables. Don't give me any cables. Just bring me the box. That's all I want. Unless it's a laptop, I need the power brick. Other than that, you keep everything. I don't want it, and you likely may not get it back. If you send a motherboard into your manufacturer for warranty, and you've left a CPU on that motherboard, an M.2 drive, or RAM, you're not getting it back. It says right on the warranty paperwork, take that stuff off because you're probably not going to get it back. We're not setting it aside for you. So that's on you. Of course, what I've had to do is I've had to drop these in the mail rather than drive clear across town. I'm just like, I'm going to put it in the mail. You'll get it tomorrow, you know, if it's in town. And I once left one of my, I did this very same thing. I left one in a machine I was shipping, and I asked that person to ship it back to me, and they put it into a regular letter envelope. And what arrived was an envelope with a tear in the corner that was otherwise empty. It was a nice thought. You need to put this in like a bubble envelope. Otherwise, it's going to break through the package. It's going to break through the envelope because envelopes aren't designed to carry hard items, just paper. They run them through automated machines. And if this jams up their automated machine, you might get a bill in the mail from the post office for the cost of what it, if you damage the machine, they could come after you for the cost. So if you're putting paper into a regular envelope, that's fine. But if you're putting anything that's stiff or inflexible, like this little metal dongle, when it rolls through the machine, it can either break the machine or it can squish that paper so tight that it pushes this out like toothpaste out of a tube, and it's gone forever. And then I get an empty envelope with a tear in it. Luckily, we can buy these on Amazon nowadays, and keyboards and mice can be replaced cheaply, all because someone didn't plug this in to take it out before they delivered it. Ask me how I feel about that. Let me grab a keyboard and a mouse. I'm right over here. We'll set this bad boy up. Turn those on. See, mine looks just like theirs. Exactly. But they're not the same. This one is not going to work with this keyboard and mouse. They're not paired together. And sometimes without special software, only the manufacturer can pair them. So if you lose it, just buy a whole new set. Logitech, on the other hand, they have a universal one that you can program. It costs a little bit more money. Let's see. I'm not going to plug internet on this. I will plug in an HDMI cable. If I could not stand on it, that would be preferable. Here we go. You know, what's interesting, this board I selected here, it has VGA, DVI, HDMI, and DisplayPort. You don't see that anymore. I think that was kind of the last year that they were including the VGA ports. You could still find a board here or there, but it's pretty rare these days. So that customer has a lot of options, that's all I'm saying. Nothing wrong with having options. Okay, so I just flipped the switch on the back of the power supply. And we'll go ahead and fire this up and look at the symptom. And we'll assume we're going to see a symptom. Because it's live, I can't edit this and make it happen. We're just trusting that it's going to be consistent. So let me grab my output here. And what I'm going to do is put camera 1 in a corner, and we'll watch it together. So where you see it says Elgato in the middle of my screen, that's my video capture card that's in the streaming computer. And it's saying there's no signal because this is off and it's not sending a signal. So let's go ahead and turn this back on, or turn it on rather. And we should see the boot sequence, which should then display the error. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what it's been doing. I expect its behavior isn't going to change. Planet Cryos joins us and says hello. Slavko Igrich says hello. David Walker joins us. And Jeff Adams saying hello, along with Andy W6AD saying hello. And a shout out to our friend Buster, Peter Laycock, who joins us from Scotland, sends an Amazon gift card in exchange, instead of a super chat, which we appreciate very much. I also see Paul Strasser joining us in the chat room, saying hello. Welcome in, Paul. Viper 30 says hello. Frederick Logren says hello. Scott Messerschmidt joining us. Along with Gary Tatum and Mark Baggett. Well, this is interesting. We're getting no video output out of this at all. Is that right? I mean, I was getting video out of it. I will tell you. I'm trying not to change too much because I want to be able to replicate the problem. And like if I reseat the memory modules trying to get this to boot, that could have been the whole problem to begin with. At this point, anything could be the problem. Could be a bad power supply, could be a bad NVMe drive, could be bad RAM, could be a bad motherboard. Literally anything that plugs into the board, including the board itself, right now is suspect until proven otherwise. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, I've got the machine turned off from the back of the power supply, and I'm just going to make sure that those are seated in there really well. And the reason I'm kind of focusing in on the SSD is because I use all these other parts regularly. The only part that's not a regular part is the Mushkin drive. And even when I bought them, I wasn't quite sure how I was going to use them because I didn't want to turn a customer into a guinea pig. So I ran them a little while and I said, okay, I think they're fine. And I went ahead and deployed it to a customer I know isn't going to be upset. But I honestly didn't think it would fail. And maybe it hasn't. I'm just guessing. So let's turn this back on. I just reseated the RAM, and let's see if we get any video output on this at all. Now, when a machine's been off and unplugged from the wall like this, it will take a longer than normal time to boot as it has to go back and retrain the RAM it's forgotten. In fact, the BIOS battery may even be drained to zero at this point because it's been unplugged for so long. That's something else we can check, and in some systems can prevent the machine from posting and starting. But I do want to run it, let it run a minute and give it a chance to potentially train. It's maybe what it's doing. Jamie McGregor just renewed his membership. Jamie joins us from Scotland. He's now a member for 35 months. Right on. Thank you, Jamie. Buddy Muggs says hello, and Tony Aindal joining us. What can often happen with computers is you can see a very similar symptom, but have 4 different ways to fix it because a system could behave this way. If any of the components I previously mentioned were faulty or failed, then you would get the exact same symptom. If you were short of breath, you know, a doctor could tell you you have pneumonia. A doctor could tell you you have a tumor or a scar on your lungs. A doctor could tell you probably a dozen different things that can cause that symptom of having difficulty breathing. Could even be your heart. It could be cholesterol. It could be so many other things. And so 3 people going into the doctor with the exact same symptom could have 3 completely different treatments. So when you're seeing a system behave like this, the idea is that there isn't necessarily a likely cause. Usually the clues that lead up to it, something generally leads up to this. And in this case, it wasn't booting Windows anymore, but this symptom is a new one. So the question begins, why? Oh, there it goes. It was just taking a long time to train. There we have it. Now notice it went right into the BIOS. Now taking that long to train is likely because this has a lot of RAM in it. People think putting RAM in their computer makes it go faster, and once you're in Windows, that's very possible, or it more than likely makes no difference at all. But if your computer has to train that RAM and you've got a bunch of it to train, you're going to be a while, as you just witnessed live on air in real time. That's why you've got to be patient with these things. So let me go full screen over here for me so I can see it the way you guys at home see it. Because I can't read it. I've got a window in a window in a window, and it's very difficult for me to see. All right, let's go to easy mode. That's F2. Turn my keyboard off and back on again. There we go. All right, so we've got a Gigabyte B560HD3 motherboard with an F15 BIOS. This is an 11th gen 11600K, and it's only 16 gigs of RAM. I'm surprised it took that long. I would expect that to have more than, I would say 64 gigs or more based on how long that took. However, it is what it is. If we look and see, does it see our M.2 drive? It says no drive is in the system. That's pretty interesting. And maybe that drive has finally failed. But I really wanted to show you this symptom. I wanted to get it on camera. So let's hit save and exit. Let's let it reboot again. Now it should boot up much faster if it was a training issue. If it's stuck on the SSD, if somehow it's not getting past that, then it'll sit here. But no, you see it booted, it got to our post screen quite quickly. And again, it's seeing, let's see if we go to PCIe, nothing here, M.2, nothing, nothing. But there is an M.2 drive in here. That's pretty interesting. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to just shut the machine off. I'm going to let it sit off for a second. I want to see if that drive is dead as a doornail, or by turning it off and back on again, if suddenly the BIOS will see that drive, because it was seeing it. When I first saw this problem, I was looking at it remotely with the Nano KVM in order to get into the BIOS. And I was able to reinstall Windows. And after reinstalling Windows, I said, well, I mean, I don't know what happened. Windows said the drive was empty when it clearly wasn't when I sent it. I don't know what they did with it while they had it. And I'm assuming somebody erased the drive. So I go to reinstall Windows, it says there's nothing on this drive. Okay, well, let's just reinstall Windows. So again, using the Nano KVM and doing this remotely, I had them create a USB media installer for Windows 11. We booted from it. It said, hey, this drive is empty. Do you want to use it? I said yes, as if it were a brand new drive. And Windows loaded. I said, well, I guess I fixed it. Let's go grab the updates. While it was updating, the whole thing shut off. It wouldn't boot up. It said no bootable device. So I had them plug the Windows 11 USB bootable media back into it, started it up, but it said, your drive is empty. There's nothing on it. I said, that's not possible. Either the drive is there or it isn't. Which one is it? Oh, it's there. It's just empty. It was right in the middle of doing Windows updates. Why? What would cause it to be empty? Now, I was restarting this just now, and I'm expecting it to boot a lot faster. And you notice how it's just sitting here. Now, if it would have exhibited this behavior at the client's office, I would assume, look, the BIOS doesn't see the NVMe drive. It's pretty clear an NVMe drive. I'm wondering now if that NVMe drive is what's causing these delays, and that, you know, as it's been sitting, its behavior is that, you know, it was on its dying breaths, and it has since passed on to the wherever NVMe's go when they die. This one might be hell. I don't know. But the system is running right now, and we're getting no video out of it. And that's not normal. This should be a relatively responsive machine. I really want to demonstrate the problem. Oh, there it goes. I want to demonstrate the problem, but at the same time, if it's going to repeatedly say that there's no M.2 drive, it wasn't doing that before. It was showing it before. I was able to install Windows. Windows would boot into Windows after the install. I go download the updates. System would reset randomly during not any particular update, and then it wouldn't come back on, and it would say your hard drive's been erased. Well, it didn't say that. It just said there's no bootable device found. And then I'd start up the Windows 11 media again, and it would say there's your drive. It's completely like out of the box, no partitions, nothing. And I can't believe my eyes. Like, I just witnessed it. I've never seen that before in my life. Now what it's doing is a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. We're going to go back over to camera 1 here. And I'm going to take that Mushkin drive out of there. Now, even though this is a single failure, it doesn't give me any confidence in this brand. I don't really see them for sale much anymore, but if I did, I wouldn't buy them because I bought like 5. If 1 out of those 5 has already died, it's already analytically, statistically unreliable for me. If I bought 50 and 1 failed already, it's a little easier of a pill to swallow. But this is not acceptable. The odds of me getting a bad drive or a drive that would fail that quickly is not normal in this industry. So whether or not it's a manufacturing error or a shipping error, I don't care because there's so many other drives to choose from. I have no reason to ever use this brand again. And since I haven't seen this brand offered for sale in quite some time, that probably was already in effect without me doing so purposefully, avoiding it. It's easy to avoid something that isn't there. All right, so our NVMe drive is right under the CPU. And so we'll just go ahead and, if I can find it, go ahead and take that out. Our NVMe drive, I remember these drives. Like I said, I had about 5 of them, and I was kind of debating on what to do with them. Even if this drive is still under warranty, because these have a 5-year warranty. If this was in 2022, it's probably good till 2027. But the cost of shipping and filling out the paperwork and sending this in just to get another 500 gig drive probably costs as much as just buying a brand new 500 gig drive that I could have overnight or in 2 days from Amazon, rather than waiting 2 weeks and going through this process. Now, I'm assuming this is bad. The fact that it's plugged in and the BIOS doesn't see it, that's all the diagnostic we need to do. And what I need to do to test this theory is, because let's face it, we could have a bad motherboard, we could have a bad M.2. This is more than likely the problem, but that doesn't mean there couldn't be something else. It's less likely. So why would I start with the less likely thing? So what I'm going to do is find another 500 gig drive here real quick. And I should have one just off camera here. And remember, we're using the 500 gig drive intentionally. And I think for this experiment, I'm going to just grab one of my used ones. So bear with me for 1 minute. $500 gigabit Intel. I have a lot of Intel drives. They're not very fast though. Let's see if we can do something a little better for this client. Oh, a Crucial P5. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Crucial drives either, but when it comes to a smaller capacity drive, I don't have many name brand drives because I don't want to pay top dollar for a 500 gig drive. I don't need the brand names. So that's why you won't see Samsung and Western Digital 500 gig drives, at least not NVMe drives. So what I've got here is this Crucial. I don't know how old it is. I've had it a while. Got a little dust on it. And it's the backup. And I think this will be ideal for this machine, given it's an 11600K. Whether we use Gen 3 or Gen 4, the customer's never going to know the difference. They're doing a lot of work with data entry and processing of numbers, which is mostly going to be CPU and not hard drive based, or storage based. And on top of that, they have a NAS, and they're supposed to be using that. So in order to keep that enforced, we're going to keep the 500 gig drive limitation on there. And the only one that might get an exception to that is the owner, or someone that the owner designates does a different job than everybody else that needs it for some reason. It's not my decision to make. My goal is to try to get my customers to not buy things they don't need to spend money on. And especially if those things you're spending extra on could cause the company harm. So we're trying to reduce the likelihood of a support call including that of a failed drive, that they go, where did our data go? I go, well, I don't know. I don't back these up. Well, that employee did all this work we paid them to do. We need that data. I go, let me tell you about Brian Cometa over at $300 data recovery. And this customer has had to contact Brian twice because they were making backups, and I wasn't aware of this. They were using an external drive, and they were moving the data off of the computer and onto the drive. I said, so this drive, there's a copy of the data on the network storage, right? He goes, no. I go, what happens if something happens to that drive? You know, it's a good point. And a week later, the drive died before they got around to doing it. And for the second time, they contacted Brian. They love Brian. He does a great job over at $300 data recovery. And this company makes a lot of money. $300 is nothing, for them anyway. And Brian was able to get him back everything he wanted for the second time. You think after the first time, they'd know better, but you know, don't bother me. All right, so here's my Windows 11 USB. I'm going to plug that in. Now, I'm assuming the drive is bad because this is more than likely the problem. And I'm assuming when I turn this on, the BIOS is going to see the crucial P3. So I've already gone ahead and put the Windows 11 drive in there. I could be completely wrong. So let's just see what happens. I'm going to turn this on, and we're going to turn this on. We're going to see if this takes the same amount of time to boot that it used to. Remember, it took a while. I can't help but wonder if that M.2 drive, look how much faster that is. Let's hit delete, go into the BIOS, and does it see an M.2 drive? Yep, it sees it right there, M2P. So you'll see the symptom of the machine not booting is being hung up, waiting. It's saying, hey. It's like you're shouting across the house and you're waiting for the person to return. Yes, what? What do you want? But this is staying silent. And so it waits and it waits and it says, hey. And it repeats that until eventually it just goes, I don't know. And then we look in the BIOS and see it's not even there. So you're talking to somebody, you're trying to communicate with somebody in the house who's either no longer in the house, or perhaps they're unable to communicate with you because they are on the phone or using the restroom, taking a shower, whatever. So get off your butt, go over there and talk to them instead of shouting across the house. Well, that's effectively what this is emulating here. We don't know what the deal is. We don't know how serious it is, and we don't care because they're so cheap to replace. As soon as we can diagnose it and get it repaired, we're back up and running and the employee goes back to work. Now, thankfully, this company has plenty of spare computers, so they're able to keep that employee up and running and back to being, you know, productive. And then this will become the spare. That will be the next one that can shoe in if they hire somebody and they need a computer for that person or another computer fails. We always have spares. This is exactly why. What shocks me is this computer's only from 2022. To see this kind of problem is profoundly rare. When I say this kind of problem, I mean a bad storage. These are usually good for about 70 years. So it's pretty unusual, but it does happen. Yeah. Oh, and I've got emails. All right, let's go ahead and start our Windows 11 install, and while that's taking place, I'll read emails. So to do that, we'll just hit reset. And there should be nothing else for this computer to boot from but that Windows 11 media installer. So I shouldn't have to go into the BIOS and do anything. It should just start Windows 11's installation. Let's see if I'm right. I am much more satisfied with the amount of time it's taking the machine to post. So I feel like right there, I feel pretty confident we solved it. I could not have sent the customer another drive and had them change it. They don't have the tools. And furthermore, they don't want to do that. They said, look, we're more comfortable. We'll get it to you. We've got spare machines. There's no rush. There's no panic. There's no catastrophe. We'll wait till we get it to you. We're in no hurry for it. But we want you to do it. We don't feel comfortable. And none of my employees, you know, that's not their job. And I said, look, whatever you want to do, I can send you a drive. We can try it, but I don't know that that's going to fix it. Is it? No, we don't even want to go down that road. You do it. You figure it out. It takes you 5 minutes or it takes you 5 weeks. We don't care. Great. if that's what you want, that's what we're going to do. Normally, customers are not this far away from me, so that kind of an issue really only exists with this one customer. And this one customer, the one that's furthest away, you gotta love Murphy's Law. Did this happen to my neighbor? Nope. Did this happen to my customer that's, across town? Nope. Did this happen to the customer that's the furthest away from any other customer I have? Yes. And has it happened to any other customer before? Nope. I can't make this stuff up. The world is just, expect the unexpected. All right, let me go full screen over here real quick so I can see the screen and kick this off, and then we'll go and check some emails. So just going through our standard Windows 11 installer, English, yeah, hit next. Keyboard method, United States, yeah. Install Windows 11, yeah. Enter the product key. I don't have a product key right now. Now, there is a product key that was activated on the OS on the other drive. And I know I installed Windows 11 Pro. So after we've installed Windows 11, we're going to connect it to the internet only after we're at the desktop. And it's going to reassign the product key automatically when we go to Windows Update, and it will not tell us it's doing it. But when we check our activation status, it will auto activate. Unless I put Windows Home on it, then it won't. The license code that was used previously will auto-activate so long as you put the exact same version of Windows 11 or Windows 10 back on it. You never, ever need to enter the product key again. And you don't need a Microsoft account. That's just how it works, whether you like it or not. So for now, we're going to go ahead and say Windows 11 Pro, agree to the license agreement here, and it should be looking for storage place to install. And there is disk 0, it's unallocated, which means I made it a point to go through all of my spare drives and clean them so that they would show up as if they were brand new. So that looks like as if we took the drive out of the box right now for the very first time. That's the state it would be in. Disk 1 is the USB drive we're booting from. This has Windows on it. We don't want to touch that. We only want to be on disk 0. We should have a single disk 0. If you have multiple disk 0s, you need to click on each one and delete them all, so that you just have one of unallocated space for the total size of that drive. And of course, that does wipe that drive out. You're nuking all the data on it if you choose to do that. All right, we hit next. And it says, okay, this is what you're about to do. Yep, that's what I want to do. And we're off to the races. So while that's running, let me grab my phone and check for messages. Oh, our friend Charlie Purdy with an Amazon gift card, and a generous one at that. Holy moly. Thank you to Charlie. He's been a very generous member here, by the way. Not his first generous contribution. And, of course, a shout out and a thank you to our friend Buster, Peter Laycock. I don't know that he's here right now, but I know he'll be watching this later, and a thank you to Buster, as always. And yeah, thank you so much, Charlie. Our channel is supported by you guys. Somebody said, I don't think it's fair that you charge for memberships. I didn't say it was fair. It wasn't my idea. Unless you know how I can make my mortgage payment and pay the electric bill and the internet bill on the couple $100 YouTube pays me, I can't make these videos. There's just, I would not be able to spend this much time making videos or buying equipment to review. But we used to. Yeah, we used to. We also, used to paint with lead paint, lead-based paint. We also used asbestos as a means to protect a house with fire protection. Come to find out, that stuff's really bad for you. I warned everybody years ago, if you've been watching my videos, if you guys continue to use the ad blockers, you are going to make this a paid platform. Not this being my channel. I mean, everything that's free. If you absolutely are going to refuse to pay a nickel to support it, and you're going to use an ad blocker to further punish the people, that's punishment, by the way, don't expect it to be around very long. So it is what it is, and thankfully we have enough people, and it's a very tiny percentage, by the way. It's maybe 1% of our total viewers that are kind and generous enough to support us here. And it's because of them that we're able to make this video for you today. Otherwise, you know what I'd be doing today? I'd be doing this work off camera, and I'd be having a lot more of this work off camera, and then I would be able to pay my bills so I could stay in the. I don't think that's fair, but you know, no matter how many times I go eat at a restaurant, they never feed me for free. I always have to pay for it every time. And if I insist that they give it to me for free, the next time I go to that restaurant, I shouldn't be surprised it's not there anymore. And that's the reality of it. So I can't thank our members enough. And while I appreciate the viewers, unfortunately, that's not sustainable. Just having viewers will not make this channel be able to meet the payments that are required to have a studio, and for me to, if I'm spending time here on camera, I'm not working for my clients. When I'm working at my clients, they pay me a lot quicker than YouTube does too, by the way, and I get paid a lot more money. So I want you to know these are the struggles I face, and that when memberships got turned on, I did not want to turn them on. If you want to go watch Tech Deals videos, you can go watch their videos. They're still free. They haven't made any videos in 3 years, but that's why they're free, and that's what you get. I don't know why this needs to be explained. People still live in 2019 and think that advertising is paying for these channels, and their advertising rates are 90% from what they were in 2019. 90%. So unless somebody wants to volunteer to pay my bills, we can return this channel back to free. And that's what the sponsors were doing, the advertising, and you guys blocked them. Too many of you blocked them. And they realized we're not going to pay to be blocked. So they went away, or the value of them went away, which means now you're going to get, instead of one commercial that YouTube plays, not me, you're going to get 5. And instead of getting a content creator getting $50 from that, they get $5. So you get annoyance, much more annoyance. The content creator gets much less payment. And eventually the channel shuts down because it's not feasible unless you bring on, you know, you're making commercials for companies, or, you know, in our case, we're very lucky to have such a supportive community. But out of nearly, you know, 415,000 subscribers, there's less than 1% that actually support us. So when we go away, when those supporters leave, if the supporters aren't growing, you know what's coming. At the end of the day, at the end of the month, I got to pay the bills. So right now we're able to do that because of our supporters. So all those people you see in green, and when I'm shouting people out, if you're a free viewer, and I don't care what your reason is, it's because of them that this content exists. Without them, I would not be able to do this because I would lose the house. All right, enough of that. I just want you to know, I'm not being a jerk. I don't have a choice. I don't like it any more than anybody else. I don't like being in this position. And before the supporters, I was making a lot more money from the advertising, but the viewers ruined it. Just overall, for the entire platform of YouTube, the ad blockers took that all away from us, as I predicted it would if that behavior didn't stop. And where I think it's going to go, and I'm going to make another prediction, all the free videos are eventually going to go away, and YouTube will become a paid streaming service like Netflix or any other streamer. Just a little more time. I don't think YouTube's going to have a choice. And it may be too late that we can do anything about it now, but be prepared. Don't be surprised. When you're not paying for something, you're saying it has zero value to you. And when you're saying, well, I didn't pay for it because it used to be free. Yeah, a lot of things used to be free that aren't free anymore. Think about it. All right, so what I want to do is just finish my install. I don't need the USB drive installed anymore, so I'm going to take that out. And then what I'll do, let me get rid of my mug down here. Let's go through these questions. Say yes here. Yes there. Skip this. Say I don't have internet here. username. Oh, I'm just going to put user in here for now with a blank password. And then that should set up our desk. Oh, I forgot. I will turn all this off except for the location settings. And here we go. That'll set up the desktop. Once we get to the desktop, I'm going to plug my Ethernet cable in. And then we'll go to Windows Update. We'll start getting the updates. Mike's Unboxing, he has a really nice YouTube channel there in England. He says, we have been really fortunate that YouTube ad revenue has stayed pretty constant since 2021 after peaking in 2020. I've never heard content creators say that they haven't lost 90% of their revenue since pretty much the pandemic. My revenue personally on this channel, the channel's grown by 100,000 viewers and the revenue's dropped by 90%. But I'm glad that's working for you, Mike. You must be getting more views per video than I am. But I used to get the same number of views and 90% more money. And you will notice, Tech Deals is gone. They're just gone. And they didn't even say goodbye. They just ghosted everybody. And there's a number of other channels that are doing it too. And they're not doing it because they're being mean. They're doing it because they don't have any other choice. If you can't pay the bills, you've got to be a responsible adult and keep your house and keep your electricity. And if what you're doing isn't paying the bills, it's time to change what you're doing. So for me, we're lucky enough to have such generosity in our members and to have enough members to keep this going. But even with members, we're just making ends meet. It's not where it used to be. Back in 2021, I was making, for every $100 I make now, I was making 1,000. And now it's just barely enough. And that's all I need because I love doing this. That's all I need. I would like to have extra. I would like to be able to do more if I had more money, but I'm happy to be doing it at all. And people who don't pay anything, you're not owed anything. If you're receiving this content for free, I hope you appreciate it, but it doesn't mean there's going to be more content for free in the future if you're just going to sit there watching it. Those days of paying by watching, your view being worth something, they went away when the ad blockers got out of control. People did it to themselves, but it is what it is. And some channels, if they're large enough, they can still achieve enough ad revenue to earn a profit, but you just need a lot more views than what we're getting. And that's the reality of it. The number of views I'm getting now used to be enough. All right. Anyway, I'm glad that's working for you, Mike. I'm actually surprised. We've got Windows loaded. So I'm going to grab my Ethernet cable. And I'm going to plug that in right there. And we'll watch, get my face out of the way. That bottom right corner, we'll see a blinking little monitor in the bottom right. And then it should get an IP address for us. And you'll notice it wants to start this app center. This is where we can go to get the drivers. Let's go ahead and I should download the Gigabyte utilities. If I say yes to this, which I will, this can save us the effort of having to download and locate any specific drivers that are not built into Windows 11. This will do it for us automatically. If we want to be lazy and you want to make sure you don't miss anything and you get all the right things, the apps like Asus has their driver app and Gigabyte has their app. It has a driver function that can scan your system for any missing drivers, download it directly from the board manufacturer so you're getting legitimate, authentic drivers, and get everyone you need versus you going in and doing it manually, which you can still do, of course. I'm going to change my resolution if I can. I don't know if we have a video driver that will let me do that. No, see how it's shaded out? So we've got a basic video driver. So it's put us in 4K and we can't change anything. Without a basic video driver, we just have a black screen. So we need to put the video driver on that's more than just a basic adapter or basic driver. So I'm trying to figure out where my Gigabyte utilities went. Thought it was going to auto start. I'll tell you what I'm going to do right now. I don't know if, I thought that was going to auto start, but let's go to the settings. And let's just go to Windows Update, because you're going to get drivers through Windows Update anyway. So while we're downloading drivers, I'll turn this feature on, and I'm going to turn on, oh, wow, look at all that. I'm going to go to Advanced Options, and I like to turn on this, and this, and this. The other thing I like to do is check my power plan out, because I don't want the screen to go to sleep on me while we're watching it due to inactivity. So after 5 minutes, it's going to turn off the display. This changes on every install. Like sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's set to never. I'm going to just put it on 3 hours, but it's never really this, it's rarely the same. Sometimes it's never, sometimes it's 5 minutes. And if there's a sleep, I will also disable sleep unless the computer I'm working on has a battery. So we're going to go ahead and let that download and install, and that's going to put some of the drivers in. So what drivers are we missing? On a default Windows 11 install with this particular motherboard, there appear to be no missing drivers. Everything in the device manager looks happy. That's pretty cool. That doesn't mean there's not driver updates, but just by installing Windows 11, everything is functional. Even though when you look under display adapter, it probably just says it's a generic driver. Yeah, it's a basic driver. Basic is another word, as it might as well say Microsoft generic display driver. That would be accurate as well. It's not specific to the manufacturer. Is it Intel? Is it AMD? Is it NVIDIA? We don't know. So this is basic. It's going to give you some video so that you can put your driver on, because without any way to see what's going on, I don't know how you think you're going to put the driver in. The basic driver is absolutely critical, but it's not meant to be left as your main driver, because it'd be like putting a spare tire on your car and then driving around with a spare tire until your spare tire needs to be replaced. That spare tire's meant to be temporary. Maybe have it on your car a few hours, maybe a couple of days. Anything more than that, that is very dangerous and super, super bad judgment. But it's your car and it's your life, or the life of the people you're driving around in your car. And at the end of the day, your decisions are going to be your consequences. But best case scenario, best advice, you use that spare tire to get you to a tire shop. That's it. Get that tire back on the car, put the spare back in the trunk, get back on the road. Samuel Kowalski just renewed membership, now a member for 19 months. Thank you for supporting us, Samuel. Mark Leibowitz sent a gift membership. Mark is another tech working in the industry. He's in the Chicago area. And he just gifted a membership, a random act of kindness to a complete stranger active in our chat room right now. And that is Chris Miles. Just got that gift membership from Mark Leibowitz. Thanks. Welcome into membership. Holy moly, Barry Klein sent 20 gift memberships. I want you to understand what this means. That means these memberships are $9.99 a month. I can't buy them as a content creator. Only the community can. And they can't even decide who they go to. The YouTube algorithm determines, I don't know exactly how, but who in the chat room is most deserving based on, I mean, it's YouTube. So it's probably based on how likely they are to renew the membership. If somebody has a history of just never buying anything on YouTube, but they've been watching the channel and they've been active in the chat room, you might wonder, why am I not getting picked? I do believe YouTube is prioritizing people it believes would be most likely to renew that. Well, I don't know. Basically, Barry can't choose the people. Mark can't choose the people. I can't choose the recipients of those gifts. And the generosity is that those individuals, Barry and Mark, they're footing the bill. And this is an example of how amazing our community is. It's a complete random act of kindness to a complete stranger. So with that being said, let's welcome in our new members. Randall Smith received a gift membership from Barry Klein. And Daniel Stenistam. James Goodrum. Personal Pan Pizza. Layla and Mia, and much more. Ken Schmidt, Michael Perry, Jay from Connecticut, Ray Toth, Patrick Rousseau, Barris D, Trevor L, Shishong Victor, Martin Jenkins, Mark Andrews, Gabriel Granados, Naomiya, Alex Cheek, all welcome into membership. And then if it was me and somebody just gifted me a membership, I would say to them, thank you. You don't have to. That's what I would do. Feel like an adult talking to their children. I shouldn't have to say that, but I don't see any thank yous. So I'm like, what just happened here? All right. Well, welcome into membership, everybody. Membership means you now have access to the members only videos. And you have access to our complete video archive going all the way back to 2009 when we started the channel. And this computer build, I'm sure, must be in that archive. You can sort by date and probably find it under the live section for April of 2022. And it should be found pretty quickly that way. Gabriel Granado says, greetings from Costa Rica. Hey, welcome in, Gabriel. RLD wants to know, is this 25H2? Yes, there's no way as a professional computer technician I'm going to install an old operating system. It's unprofessional. Anybody who does that today is not professional. Where I work and where I have worked, that would get you fired. So we always use the latest tested release. We don't use beta, and we don't use old systems. Like, you won't see me installing Windows 10. We don't do it anymore. So we just always use the latest version, the latest public release tested version. No betas, no insider stuff. Barry Klein says he just sold a kidney, so no problem gifting some memberships. You didn't just wake up in a tub of ice one day after a binge drinking episode and noticed you had stitches? At least you got paid. Brian Weber just sent a gift membership. And Paul Warner received that gift membership from Brian. That's really cool. Alan Lindos contributes $7.77 in our super chat. He says, I'm watching a rare Sunday broadcast. Oh, Sunday broadcasts are not rare for us. Maybe it's rare for you. But Fridays, Mondays, and Sundays are a regular broadcast schedule, and Mondays being for only members. Michael Perry says, thank you for the membership. Man, we got one thank you. 1 out of like 12. All right. I mean, nobody has to say thank you. Nobody has to put a shopping cart away from the grocery store. It's just the right thing to do. So if you can't be bothered to say thank you, you probably aren't going to fit in here. But I'm not going to kick you out. I'm just saying, everybody else is being courteous. It would be nice to return that courtesy. All right. So with that, let's see how we're doing over here, because I can't see my screen. I realize, I guess you guys have been seeing the screen the whole time. Wait a minute, it says no signal. Oh, that just put the video driver in. That's why we got the no signal. And let me put camera 1 back in the corner, since I didn't realize I didn't put that back till just now. Rick Lakes with a $10 super chat says, hello. Hi, Rick. And thank you for your $10 super chat. Good to see you, my friend. Chris Dunn said, I want to thank Barry Klein for his gift to me. Right on. Thanks, Chris. Scott Messerschmidt said, the newest update is blah, blah, blah. Just download the single file. Okay, I find that personally offensive. And the reason I find it offensive, Scott, as a professional computer technician, my job is to ensure that my clients are going to have a working computer, that are unlikely going to call me with any support calls. That makes me more profitable, and my customers can focus on their jobs and are more likely going to buy more from me. But if I'm starting to take shortcuts, technical shortcuts, to do things in a way a customer never would, that I'm not testing this computer properly. If I can download the Windows updates the same way the customer is going to receive them, ideally for years after I've delivered this computer, but I am so lazy and impatient that I am not willing to put in the effort to replicate my customer's experience, then in my opinion, I have no business doing this job. What you do to your own computer is up to you, but what I do for customers is I need to make sure that when I go to Windows Updates, that Windows Updates is working. And I'm going to do everything in the same way my customer is. If I'm going to serve my customer dog food and expect them to eat it, I'm going to eat it too. I'm not going to do something different for myself because I find it unprofessional, lazy, irresponsible, and furthermore, I also think that's extraordinarily discourteous. That you'll expect your customer to go to Windows Update, but you yourself, you're better than that, and you're going to go get a different update? No. No, no, no. What you do for yourself, you're fine. But when you're doing it for other people, I find that profoundly offensive, just so you know. I would never, ever do that. Remember, this client is a distance from me. If we go through all this effort, it took 6 months for me to get this computer. And if I don't actually use it in the way the customer's going to use it, and then they're just using it the normal way, the way anybody but me would be using it, and they have a problem that I wasn't able to identify and resolve, what are the odds this is going to come back again anytime soon? What are the odds that customer is simply going to buy somewhere else? Think about it. Something to think about. All right, but that's just the way I do things. You do things the way you want to. I'm just telling you why. Roger wants to know, is it still possible to upgrade Windows 10 to Windows 11 for free? Yep, absolutely. "3D Everything" says, "Thank you, Barry Klein, for supporting the channel." Yeah, and 3D Everything didn't receive anything. See, that's the cool part of this community, is just the kindness and support to each other. It just blows me away. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Looks like we're ready to reboot. Let me jump back over here. Just noticed that. Go ahead and restart, and we'll check for updates again. We can also check and see if we've been activated. I fully expect now that the product key, whatever it is, I have no idea, was automatically reassigned back to that motherboard and activated. And we'll verify that when we restart. And remember, we've never logged into a Microsoft account. JFix says, when Windows pushes a BIOS update and bricks your motherboard, better for it to happen on your bench than a customer's house. Well, the customer can't prevent that. If a BIOS update 3 months from now, 3 months after I delivered the computer, comes in through Windows Update, the customer's going to get it whether they like it or not. Now, it's been at least 15 or 20 years since I've seen a BIOS update that came in from Windows Update cause any issue. I've never seen one fail from Windows Update in more than a decade. So unless the customer interrupted it, they unplugged it, or they shut off the machine while it was updating, I've never seen a bad BIOS update ever from Windows Update. Never, not once. If I do, I'll let you know. If I can film where lightning strikes, I will definitely do that. It is so rare and uncommon as to not even be a concern. But what I have found is if there is a bad BIOS update, it is almost 99.9% of the time caused by the end user interrupting it, shutting it off, interfering with it, causing the problem. And if the customers would leave it alone, that 99.9 would be like 100% success rate. As far as I can tell, and you can Google search it, There is no known BIOS update that came through Windows Update that's ever bricked a BIOS in the history of Windows updates, unless the user did something. Maybe I'm wrong. And just because it happened to one person one time 15 years ago doesn't mean it's anything to worry about. All right, with that, we're back up and running here. So let me go back to full screen on my side, and I really want to see if I can change that resolution, because 4K is just, it's too tiny for my old eyes. Oh, and it still wants me to install the App Center. I'm going to say don't remind me again. I guess I don't need it. So we'll just cancel that. That'll never bother us again. Right click, we're going to go to display settings, and hopefully I can change, yep, I can change the resolution. 1920 by 1080 is where? Right here. And keep that. Now I can seize. We'll come down here and we're going to type in activation, right? Just ACT, activation settings, enter. And I want to see, look, we are active. What does that mean? That means the product key, whatever it was, when we connected to Windows Update, Microsoft said, I know this motherboard serial number. It's already been activated. But for Windows 11 Pro. So as long as it has Windows 11 Pro on it, we're good to go. It does everything automatically. It doesn't even tell you it did it. Again, I did not need to sign into a Microsoft account. All right, let's go back to Windows Update and let's check for updates again. Sometimes you're going to get failed updates. That's normal. There's nothing wrong here. Just hit the retry or check again for more updates, and you won't see these same updates anymore. They happen due to duplication, where it may have been downloading updates in the background without telling us, and then when I manually check for updates like this, it starts downloading duplicate updates, and those duplications will fail, and they'll say retry. When you check it again, it says, oh, those updates are already installed, and it doesn't retry them again because they've already been successful. And as you notice, after we, as proof to what I'm telling you, you see it's not offering those same updates anymore. And that is likely what happened, and it's normal. Nothing is broken. Everything is standard operating procedure. So we're going to go ahead and let that download and install. And then the other thing I want to do is, while we're waiting, I'm going to right-click on the Start menu and go to System. And you can see the details of our operating system here is what I'm saying it is, right? It's always the latest version. So we're on Windows 11 Pro 25H2. And with our current updates, we are at 26,200.6899. That might mean something to you. I don't care. I primarily care about whether or not we're on 25H2. This kind of detail I'll leave for technical minutia for people nerdy enough to know what that means, what the latest version is. It changes constantly. It's never the same for a very long period of time, and it's nothing any regular computer user ever looks at. So there's no reason for me to try and get to that level of detail when it's completely unnecessary. That's being done for me by Windows Update, so manually looking at that is no longer necessary. It's something that people that have been working in tech a long time probably learned to do, and you don't have to do it anymore because times have changed. People don't tend to change as much as the times do, or they're not as quick to embrace it. Some people love change, and some people resist it. So I'm trying to work smarter, not harder. I don't want to do the research. Windows Update's doing the research for me. Windows Update will ensure I have the latest version of Windows. And if it's not giving me the latest version of Windows, there's likely a good reason why, especially when we're talking about a brand new build. Now, if a customer hasn't been getting Windows updates, Lord only knows what they did to their computer. They probably listened to some advice from a tech YouTuber and screwed their system up, and now they're calling me to fix it. I fix a lot of problems that people cause themselves because of bad information online. There's nothing that prevents a YouTube content creator from making up a story and lying to you and swearing that it's true. They can make a system utility and swear that that's going to make your system better. But 6 months from now, when a new update comes out, that won't install on your computer, but it installs on everybody else's computer. And you wonder, why won't it install on yours? Well, there's a good chance that you followed some advice of running some system utility some content creator made it six months earlier, Did I say mated? They mated it. That they created. They made and created. That's how you get to mated. The point is, you believe them. And running that utility did seem to enhance your computer. But 6 months, 12 months goes by, you've forgotten all about that thing you did. But now this update won't work because there was an unauthorized change. And if a content creator or anybody else is advising you to make unauthorized changes, you may not know what's authorized versus what's not. So stay away from it and do everything by Microsoft's book if you want to have the best experience. You may be able to improve your experience for a short period of time, but there will often be a consequence if the way you're going about doing that is not sanctioned by Microsoft. Microsoft doesn't sanction it because they know it can cause a problem. It interrupts the reliability that they're going for. And if it has a risk of reducing your reliability, the likelihood of a crash or an instability issue, then Microsoft says, don't make these changes. Microsoft says, we're not going to offer you a tool to disable the features that we put on there to keep your system reliable. But a content creator thinks they know better than an entire corporation of college degreed teams of engineers and marketing folks and managers. It's not one person making this decision. A content creator is one person deciding. That's not how Microsoft works. That's not how Intel works. That is not how AMD works. That is not how NVIDIA works. There has to be a community of people working together and testing to decide what's best for everyone, not what's best for you. They don't do that. And if you think you can, then you're likely going to find out the hard way. You're going to have a problem later, and it's probably due to an update or a piece of software that you're adding or updating, or a Windows update, something, and your system's not going to like it. It's just going to reject it. You may have stability issues, crashing issues, and you are most likely going to blame Microsoft for that when it was your fault the entire time. And then what people do is they just wipe and reinstall Windows because they give up because nobody knows how to help you because you've done something that, you know, isn't common. And that nobody's measured this. We don't know that that content creator's utility was something you ran because most of us never heard of it. I hope it was worth it. Anyway, so people will get frustrated. They can't get any answers. They'll wipe and reinstall Windows and they'll say, damn you, Microsoft. Why can't you make a better product? Well, why can't you leave it alone or at least accept responsibility for what you did to it? That's all I'm saying. Let's just take responsibility. If you're willing to take responsibility, have at it. But blame yourself. Don't blame other people when it doesn't go the way you thought it would. And everything will be fine. And we can agree who's to blame. All right. Mark Leibowitz said today, for the second time, I had a computer get Windows 11 build 25H2 via Windows Update. This time it downloaded and installed automatically, and all I had to do was reboot. That's how it should be. It is a controlled rollout. They can't, you know, Mark, you know this, but for everybody else, they can't give it to the world at the same time. There's not enough lanes of traffic for that much traffic. So they have to control it and ration it out so that you know, people aren't waiting hours for it to install because the data is trickling in. It'd be like if you turned every faucet and hose on in your house and you're wondering why the water pressure is so low. I mean, you turn enough faucets on, you're just going to get a drip. And Microsoft is controlling that rollout to make sure everybody's experience is a good one. You just have to wait your turn. And when you wait your turn, if you just leave it alone, it comes in when it's ready and it installs fine and everything's hunky-dory. John Downey said, I had 25H2 on my PC. Well, I was on vacation. I didn't even have to do anything. Yes, because it is a Windows update. It's not an upgrade. It's an update. Mark Leibowitz says, I encounter two kinds of IT non-professionals. Those who think Microsoft forces you to create a Microsoft account to set up Windows 11 and Windows 10 and Windows 8, and those who don't realize that they're doing it. Yeah, that's true too. Peter from the Netherlands joins us, says hello. Andrew Charlesworth says hello. You cannot ask for gift memberships. I see some people asking for them. We cannot gift one to you specifically. As I've already said, YouTube decides based on your activity in the chat room. When somebody gives a gift membership, they don't get to decide who it goes to. When Barry Klein gifted those memberships, or Mark Leibowitz gifted a membership, or I've already forgotten. Brian Weber, sorry, Brian. When they gift memberships, they don't dictate who those memberships go to. You have to earn that. How do you earn it? Not exactly sure. You can ask Google, how do you get a gift membership? How do you receive one? And it'll explain to you YouTube's process. You can ask all day. They're not being mean. They're not saying no. It's not an option. You can buy a gift membership, but you cannot control who it goes to. And that is true for every YouTube channel that has memberships. JFake says, do you do any component level of repairs? If there is a machine brought in that has the value of a component level repair, where the repair doesn't cost more than a replacement, then we would do them. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, we can often replace the entire machine for less than the cost of labor. So if I have to open up a device that's glued shut to find a little teeny tiny component that can only be sourced from eBay, that's going to take 3 weeks to fix, assuming it's been diagnosed correctly, and then glue it all back together, and that ends up costing somewhere around, let's say, 4 hours or 3 hours of labor, plus parts, plus the amount of time the customer's without the device, and that's assuming we get a part that's valid, that works, that we've diagnosed it correctly, then you're probably looking at about the cost of replacement, if not more than the cost of replacement, including just buying a used one off eBay and saying, here's another one for less than the cost of what it is to repair. But if you've got a $10,000 computer, and that $10,000 computer is going to cost $1,500 to fix, we're going to fix it because that $1,500 makes it worth our time and it saves our customer money. Today, a $10,000 computer is pretty rare. You'd be in a server realm. Most consumer-based equipment simply isn't worth repairing once it's outside of warranty. It's faster and cheaper to just get another one. Even if you're buying it used off eBay, it will have depreciated if it's out of warranty to probably less than half its original cost, which then is cheaper than the repair. So it's not that we don't do it, it's that we're not going to throw money at something that's more valuable than the thing we're fixing. And Mara says we have email. All right. I wouldn't do that to my customers. I wouldn't rip a customer off. And besides, if we just get them a used one, we can get it to them faster. There's not as long of a delay. And there's a lot of fake parts being sold that you end up getting the part, doing the work, and it doesn't fix the problem, and you've got to go order another part. This is adding to the expense and adding to the time. An email comes in from a viewer about, forensically analyzing this drive to see, is the data still on it. If the BIOS won't see this drive, you need specialty tools like what Brian Cometa has. So if we send this to Brian Cometa and say we need a data recovery, can you get the data back? He's got special tools that can see this when a BIOS doesn't see it. And he's going to charge us $300 as a baseline recovery fee, plus $100 additional to put that data onto something that he can send it back to us. So this drive, 500 gig Mushkin drive, was probably about $50. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't spend $400 in 2 weeks of my time plus postage because I want to do forensics because I'm curious. If you want to spend $400 on a $50 drive, you go knock yourself out. If you want to spend 4 hours of your time, if you've got nothing else better to do because you sit at home and you don't have customers, and this is what you do for fun, then that's your hobby. This is not a hobby for me. This is a job, and I have 3 more of these to go through. Okay, so I can't get to those until I finish this one, and those will sit in wait indefinitely. And if they wait too long, I mean, in this case, the customer's not in any hurry, but generally speaking, in most cases, the customers want that fixed as soon as possible. And if you take too long, look, here's the bottom line. There's no reason anybody needs to forensically check a drive. No reason at all. Unless you're a private investigator, you work for the government agency that is paying you to do so, then you're getting paid to do it, and there's probably something at risk, right? There's probably some consequence of somebody breaking the law, maybe there's some evidence here. But any normal person should know to make a backup. And if they don't know that, that's not my responsibility. And if you choose not to make a backup of data, then I guess you didn't think it was that valuable. So I have no sympathy for you. You didn't have a backup, but you said your data was valuable, and now you need to run forensics on this. That is a world I do not live in. That is a world of play. I don't have time to it's not professional for me to do that. So I'm not telling you you can't. I'm telling you why I won't. I'm not going to spend $400 on a $50 drive. And if my customer backed up, we're going to get back up and running. In the length of this video, we will have diagnosed and repaired this, and it immediately can go back to the customer. That's a quick turnaround. That means I get paid faster. That means my customer goes back to work sooner. And that means the next customer in line gets up on the bench here sooner. Everybody's happier. Hobbyist activities are not professional activities. And I just want you to recognize the difference. One is not better than the other, but there's a different motivation behind what I do and what you're apparently wanting to do. I don't have that convenience. I don't have that luxury. So just make your backups. Don't worry about it. If you've got a bad drive, that's between you and the manufacturer. It's not your job to forensically look at it. It's not expected of any customer to do that. This is consumer grade material. If you want to work at MIT and do research and development, then that's going to be part of your curriculum and part of potentially your job. But that's not my job. That's your job. Okay, just so we're clear. I don't do that. Let's see. We've got an email from Hector. He says, I got an error when I try to open any of the Office programs. It says this copy of Microsoft is not active. We must say Microsoft Office. I should mention that this was an old purchase from June of 2021. Okay, and? Yes, if you have, depending on where you purchased your copy of Microsoft Office, if you bought it from a shady seller, this is what I'm talking about. You think, oh, look at me. I saved money. I didn't have to spend extra a couple dollars, $3 more to get a legitimate copy of Windows. I'll just get it off of some sketchy website. That works fine. I don't know what Carey's talking about. 5 years later, 4 years later, you're telling me your Windows has been, or your Microsoft Office has been deactivated. Well, this is what I've been warning you about, and I keep warning you guys, and you just don't listen until it happens to you. And then you go, why did this happen? And I'm like, have you not been listening for the last 4 years? If you had bought that key from, well, let me just ask you this. Where did you acquire the key? Let's just go there. Tell me where you bought that key. Because if I was you, I wouldn't come to me. I'd go to whoever took your money and ask them to make it right. But I'd love to know where how and where you acquired that. JFix says a PC 3000 for data recovery is an expensive tool. You know, it's not like you just buy the tool and you're going to automatically know how to use it. I can buy an expensive piano. I still have to learn how to play the piano. So let's not undervalue the skill involved in learning how the software and recovery works. And I don't know how you put a value on that, but I'll tell you, Brian Cometa has all those tools. He's got over $1 million worth of data recovery and forensic recovery tools. And he can do amazing work with it, but he's also got years of experience and employees with years of experience that are specifically trained on how to use that efficiently and quickly to get their customers' data back fast and cheap. Probably cheaper than any other data recovery on this planet. And if you don't believe me, look up $300 data recovery on Yelp. They're the highest rated data recovery on the planet. We don't have any professional relationship, Brian and I. There's no money exchanging. I'm trying to save you time and money. First of all, no one should need data recovery. Shame on you. You should be embarrassed. Secondly, now that you're embarrassed, don't embarrass yourself further by paying 4 times more to one of the other data recovery companies. And what you choose to do with that information is entirely up to you. JFix is mentioning Windows BitLocker. Windows BitLocker, on the version of Windows that I use, Windows 11 25H2, I use a program called Rufus to make the bootable media. And I select the option that I tell Rufus, when you're creating this media, do not require a Microsoft account and do not automatically enable encryption. And therefore, every single time I install Windows 11, I never, ever have to create a Microsoft account, and I never, ever have to worry about encryption being turned on. Rufus is a free utility, and if you're new here, I strongly suggest you go back and look at some of the content you've missed, because we have given out thousands of tips like this over the years, but you need to go and watch the videos. If you can't be bothered, I'm getting tired of repeating myself. But if you're new here, I just want you to know we have a library, and that library exists for a reason. And if you're interested in it, but you're not using it, I don't know what else I can do to help you. That's why it's there. All right, we've done these updates. Let me go back again. Let me go full screen. And we're going to check for updates one more. Oh, what's this? So OneDrive, no thank you. Check for updates. Okay, this is pretty much good to go. Yeah, we got a couple of antivirus updates. This is a relatively easy fix, but not when your client is very far away. And if your client is not comfortable working on the computer, well, that's job security as far as I'm concerned. I don't see that as a negative. And I have never seen this problem before. In fact, I would say with regards to solid state storage, I think this is the 4th drive we've seen fail in 12 years. And how many drives have I installed in 12 years? 400 maybe? So probably more than 400. Getting 4 bad out of 400, it's like a lightning, it's not quite like a lightning strike, but it's profoundly rare. And that's why I tend to stick to brands I've got experience with. I've never seen, I don't believe I've seen a bad NVMe Samsung or Western Digital drive. Or for that matter, Feijing. It doesn't have to be a brand you recognize. So on the other hand, that's just anecdotal. That's my experience. But my experience is probably 400 times what the average home user's experience is. When we're talking about this, you may have installed 1 or 2 in the last few years. I've installed several hundred. I can't tell you exactly how many. And if you say, well, what's the difference between the one that fails and the ones that don't fail, is my lack of familiarity with really thoroughly testing the brand or having much experience with this brand. And that's why it's so important for me to stick to things I have experience with. It doesn't matter what the brand is, as long as I have experience with it over a period of at least a year before I sell anything to a customer. Motherboards, it could be a new motherboard, but from a motherboard manufacturer I've been using for years, like Gigabyte. I don't need the board to be out a year, because then it would be old. But I need to trust the manufacturer. And so with Mushkin, I never really had anything from Mushkin. I had a couple things, but not as many. And so to have a failure when the sample size is smaller than other drives I use, that's all I need to know. I don't need to take my data collection any further than that. It soils my reputation. So while I might be curious, is this a one-off or is this normal and to be expected? I don't have the luxury to keep using my customers as guinea pigs. because my customers are going to take their business somewhere else. So that's all it takes, and we move on, because the marketplace is filled with manufacturers. It's not like it's this or that. We have dozens of different manufacturers to choose from on NVMe storage drives. So the minute one of them acts up for any reason at all, and especially if our sample size is really small, that's all I need to know. We move on. You won't see another Mushkin drive on this channel. Mark my words. I don't even know if they still make them and sell them. So there may not have been another one, regardless of my experience with it. JPEG says, I know about BitLocker and encryption. I'm just raising awareness, as some people have it turned on without realizing. Well, I'm going to talk until I am blue that if people are too lazy and don't care to make backups, then nothing we're talking about matters. The reliability of the drive doesn't matter. Whether or not you've got encryption on or off doesn't matter. Whether or not you get a virus doesn't matter. Whether or not you get 25H2 doesn't matter. As long as you have a backup of your data, everything else is sprinkles on top. If you're focused on the sprinkles, enjoy your sprinkles. When I go to get something like a cake or an ice cream dessert, I'm not thinking, oh boy, I can't wait to taste those sprinkles. I want what the sprinkles are on. And the sprinkles, I can take them or leave them. But a backup makes you bulletproof. So you don't have to worry about warnings like, oh, you could have BitLocker on. Oh, this could happen. Oh, this could happen. Who cares? Who cares? If you have a backup, it doesn't matter. All you have to do is restore your backup. That's it. You don't have to worry about all this technical information. I will tell you, I can tell people, bet you should back up. They go, I know I should, and I will. And then they don't. And then sooner or later I get the call. I can't get to my data. I go, well, I can look at it. I got to charge you for it. If you want, it's just a lot faster for me to just restore your data. Let's just use your backup. We'll get you back up and running fast. Oh, I know we talked about that. Yeah. And I know I'm supposed to have done it. Yeah. Well, I hadn't gotten around to it yet. Well, I guess you don't care much about your data. I don't know what to tell you. Well, now that I've lost all my data, I'm going to go around and tell people they should back up. Well, I hope you have better luck at it than I do, but as I've been saying it for 15 years, and they still don't do it. And then when it happens to them, they go, oh, I'm going to go around and tell people they should back up their data. Does this say, do you think they're going to listen to you? Have at it. People are people, and you're not going to change them. And when they want to hire me to fix their problems, and I can tell them how they can avoid hiring me in the future, they're either going to take the advice or they're not going to. I don't care either way. But I've just about given up trying to help anybody who doesn't at the very least have a backup. I'm just tired. I'm like, you know what a backup is? Yes. Did you know you were supposed to make one? Oh, I know. So where is it? Well, I haven't gotten around to it. And then from that point, they get evangelistic about backups. And they start preaching it to a bunch of other people who aren't listening to them, just like they weren't listening. And they don't even have the presence of mind to realize it doesn't matter what you say to people. They're not going to do it. Ask me how I really feel. It's so sad. It's so sad. You could avoid all this pain and all this discomfort if you would just take your medicine. And I'll take the medicine later. And then all of a sudden they're in a health crisis. What happened? I didn't take that medicine. Okay, well, did you want to be cremated or did you want to be buried? Just let the family know how we want to go from here. They have that right to make that decision, and I just feel terrible that they chose poorly. So, for many cases, many situations, when people lose, precious photos of loved ones who have passed on, or who live in another country and they're not going there anytime soon. And all the photos they had from their last visit together are now gone because they kept them on their laptop and someone stole their laptop. I cannot do anything to help them. I feel terrible. I say, did you make a backup of that? It's pretty rare these days that somebody says, what's a backup? In most cases, they know exactly what it is. They've been told for years, and they just put it off for whatever reason. And they decided it wasn't worth paying somebody to do it for them. And now they've lost it. It's gone forever. And I cannot wave a magic wand, nor can anybody, and bring all that back. It's just gone. It sucks. It sucks for them. It sucks for me. I can't be the hero. I can't save the day. You have boxed me out of being able to help you. You boxed everyone out of being able to help you because you made bad decisions and now you will suffer. I don't suffer any consequences. I didn't lose anything. I just feel really bad. But there's nothing more I can do. If I'm presenting food to you and you will not eat and you die of starvation, there's nothing more I could have done. Hello, that says, tell us how you feel, Carey. I know, right? I don't sugarcoat it, you know. It's a serious stuff. When people lose their data, it's very little levity or joking around. Try it sometime and let me know how it works out for you. If you're not going to do it, you're not going to do it. No one's going to make you. Mike's Unboxing says, Carey, do you have any thoughts or views on system backups? I feel like people really stop and listen when I speak. What was that commercial? Mike wouldn't know it. I don't think he would. In America, we used to have a commercial. When E.J. Hutton talks, people listen. Do I have the name right? Some of you guys are telling me how you back up. I really don't care. I gotta be honest with you. I don't care what software you use. I don't care how you're backing up. I do not care. I'm just telling you, I don't care. If you care about your data, you'll back it up. You'll figure out a way. You'll figure out where you're going to put it. You'll figure out what software, if any, you're going to use. I do not care because your backup is for you and only for you. And you're the only one who's ever going to need it. You're the only one who's going to benefit from having it. And you're the only one who's going to cry and whine when you lose it because you couldn't be bothered. None of that affects anybody but you. So choose wisely. You don't have to tell me what you've selected. It doesn't matter to me. It's interesting. I'm happy to see you're backing up, just as I would be happy to see that you are taking care of yourself health-wise. But you don't have to. You can sit on the couch and gain hundreds of pounds. It's your choice. It has no impact on me whatsoever. Yeah, David Herzog said E.F. Hutton. I got it right. Brian says, are you still a fan of Acronis? Yes, I am. Absolutely. They were a sponsor here, but economic times are such that people are just not buying, and it doesn't make sense to spend money to promote the product when the sales of the product won't match the cost of the promotion. It's called customer acquisition cost. If your customer acquisition cost costs more than the product, and you can learn about this more if you watch Shark Tank, then you have to cut back your marketing expenses. And it doesn't mean I don't like the product or anything. I've been using Acronis since 2008, 2009, and it's all I use. I don't use Macrium. I don't use anything else. Dennis says he uses the copy command. Hey man, you know, whatever works. I know he's kidding. Mark Leibowitz is mentioning that Crystal Disk Info reported one of his backup drives was starting to fail. Usually you'll get hints to that, like it'll start to slow down or make weird noises. But yeah, there's plenty of things to choose from and plenty of processes to back up. There's no excuse to not doing it. People know what it means, they know what it does, and they choose not to do it. And then they cry and ask you to. The psychology behind it is twisted because somebody else explain it to me and I'll say, well, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. And what I often hear in response is, but I had critical, important documents or photos of people who passed on, pictures of my child's newborn baby. There's the only pictures I have. What do they think I'm going to say? Oh, in that case, I can get it back. You didn't say that. No, I still can't get it back. I don't care how tragic you paint your story. Yeah, but there was really important stuff. This wasn't like there was just photos. My whole career is on my computer. I'm going to be out of a job. I still can't get it back. You can keep talking till the cows come home about how tragic this is. You should have backed it up. You can tell me about how terrible your car accident was and that you really wish you had car insurance, but you didn't, and now it's too late. Yeah, but I'm going to lose my house. Yeah, you are. Yeah, that's too bad. All right, let's go back over. I know it sounds heartless, but that's just the reality. It's also heartless when a predator takes down a gazelle in Africa. The gazelle didn't do anything wrong. It's not a bad gazelle. It just wasn't as fast as the other ones. And because of that, the gazelle loses its life in a very brutal way where it's basically eaten while it's still alive. But on the other hand, the thing eating it is now able to live longer. And it's harsh and it's not fair. Welcome to life. So you just gotta, protect what's important to you. Whether that's insurance, backups are a form of insurance. It's just not financial insurance. And if you choose to run around without it, your decision to make. Okay? And set your expectations accordingly. I want to get rid of this little cartoon down here. So what I'll do is I'll type in, that's called a search highlight. So I type in highlight. Right here it says show search highlights. Click on that. And right here, the box that has this has a black box around this toggle. We'll toggle that to off. That little cartoon goes away because it really annoys me. Really, Carey, nothing really ever seems to get under your skin. All right, I think we're good with Windows updates now. I go through the optimizer and some other little tweaks I do with Windows 11, which I still need to do, but it's behaving perfectly right now. So I think this whole time we had a bad NVMe drive. I really wish the BIOS would have seen it so I can show you this behavior. But take my word for it, I'm not making it up. And this was as soon as I could get it. And I don't know, if having it sit there this long has had an impact on the behavior. I really wish I could have caught it while it was doing it. I've never seen this before, ever in my career. So I don't know that there's much information that's useful in knowing it because you're not likely to ever see this in your entire life. But as an interesting, that's possible, not probable, but possible, there's an education here in the sense that when we're diagnosing things, the order of diagnostic is going to be based on experience, not from the internet, not from Google, not from Reddit. It's based on experience. What's most likely causing this problem? And we always start with the easiest, most obvious things first. Most of the time, that's as far as you need to take it. For me, based on what I witnessed when I was connected remotely, it seemed like a bad NVMe drive. But I didn't know what NVMe drive was in there. I can't remember. I do remember it was in the BIOS, and I probably could have looked it up. But I don't recall knowing what it was. And furthermore, I don't care. Like, if it's not working, it doesn't matter if it's Samsung or Western Digital. It's irrelevant because it's not working. That's all that matters to my customer, is make it work. They don't need all those details. That's for technical people to argue about. I need to get some results. I need to get it done quick. I need to get the customer back up. I need to get paid so I can help my next customer. So understand why I make these videos. I'm sharing with you what goes on inside computer repair, how a computer technician might work. Not every computer technician works the same way I do. And for that reason, I bring on other computer technicians, such as Doug Betts with Live Windows Training with Doug Betts, a working computer technician. And he and I go about repairs very differently. Nothing wrong with that. We get the job done. We keep our customers happy. We answer to no one but our customers. Our friend Scott Merrill, Ask Your Computer Guy, working computer tech, answers to his customers, does things in a way that I wouldn't do them, doesn't make him wrong. He's able to sustain a business. He's doing it right. That's all you got to know. Are you able to stay in business? Well, then who am I to question what you're doing is wrong? I'm still trying to twist Mike's unboxing reviews and how-to to join us. And I'm not going to let up on it. He's got a great YouTube channel as well there in England. And you know, there's a big time difference, and yet there he is in our chat room. So clearly he's still up. So I'm calling you on that. We'll get him on here. And that way you can hear from different opinions and different techniques and different processes that we've all learned. Mike will do things his way, I'm sure. Doug does things his way. Scott does things his way. I do things my way. And we're not suggesting that our way is the only way. It's one for you to consider. You can make your own way and not do anything the way you see us do it. Because there's still yet another way. The more people that we bring on here as guests that work in the industry, the more variety of processes you're going to experience and realize they're doing what works for them. I'm doing what works for me. You do what works for you. Mike's Unboxing says it will happen one day. Hold on, let me hold my breath. No, that's probably not a good idea. It's all good, Mike. I'm teasing you. I'd love to have you on. So I hope we can make that happen sooner rather than later. But don't worry, I've got backups. Poorly Boy wants to know, would the symptoms be the same for any type of drive? Different types of drives can fail in different ways. Because this is not a mechanical spinning drive, we don't deal with motors and read heads. Therefore, we don't have to worry about motor or read head failures. We don't have platters that can be damaged. So those drives could fail with a similar symptom, but have a completely different problem. A mechanical drive might show up in a BIOS and it might make all kinds of noises, and that would indicate something's wrong with it. This is a silent piece of silicon. It doesn't make any noise. It has no moving parts. It can fail for all different kinds of reasons that a mechanical drive would not fail. And this won't fail for the reasons a mechanical drive would fail, but you could still get similar symptoms, just like when you go to a doctor. Or worse, you go to WebMD and type in your symptoms. How many possible diseases do you have? Never try and diagnose yourself. Never. Because the same symptoms that are panic attacks, that are just a natural psychological effect, could also be a real-life heart attack or stroke that can cause you to die. And it's the same symptom. And for that reason, we have doctors that can diagnose us. When you're trying to be your own doctor, bad idea. And don't be your own lawyer either. Just telling you, not a good idea. You can, it's just a bad idea. That being said, there is no one-size-fits-all fix for all things in all situations, in all circumstances, in all manufacturers. That does not exist. And if it did exist, I wouldn't need a job. Like, I wouldn't have this job. If you could oversimplify life to such a boring, predictable manner, then a robot could replace you. And in which case, I hope you know how to fix robots. Mike's Unboxing said, I would suspect the drive had a controller failure. Otherwise, it would show in the BIOS, but it wouldn't be able to access the data. For it to not show at all in our BIOS implies an electrical short circuit or controller failure or corrupted firmware. I agree with that 100%. Yeah. So even then, there's lots of possibilities, but it's not worth any further investigation because the data is backed up and the drive is cheap to replace. What's more important is how quickly can we get the customer back up and running. Now, specifically, this customer is a little different in that they're not in a hurry. That's almost never the case. In most cases, customers want it back quick. Quickly also means cheaply. The more time I have to spend on it, the more they're going to pay me for my time. Furthermore, the longer they go without it, they're not able to use it, which means they're not earning any money or they're earning less money because it's missing. So worrying about this is like worrying about pennies while $100 bills are flying over your head and you're ignoring them. It doesn't make, if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. Right. Maybe we have loose bits in there. Let me shake it. Maybe all the bits fell out. Maybe it's got a bit leak. Little duct tape, wrap that back up, put it back in there. This is trash. Here. Let me just end this debate right now. You're not testing this drive. It's done. Move on. Let it go. Next thing. That just saved me a lot of money. By breaking that in half, that saved me a lot of money, saved me a lot of time. It's going to go in the recycle bin. We're done with it. This is pennies compared to other work I've got waiting. That's stacked up and added up. Means that anything further spent on this is a poor judgment of the limited time that I have. We all have limited time here. How do you want to spend yours? Because I'm not spending mine on that. Just saying. All right, let's go back over to full screen. Oops, here's my full screen. Mike says now it's a 256 gig drive. A 256 gig drive that doesn't work, by the way. Yeah, it's so much faster. Just let it go. Move on. Your time is valuable. Now, if this was a common issue, and if this drive was a lot of money, probably be worth spending some time so that we could use that education in the future to be able to continue this kind of work faster through experience. Like learning to play a piano. The more you play it, the more time you spend practicing, the better you're going to get. I promise you're not getting worse. You're only going to get better. But if it's a one-time problem you've never seen ever before, you're likely never going to see it again. Resolve it, get it done, move on. Worrying about why is a waste of time. You shouldn't be in repair. That's not a right career for you. If you want to be a mortician, then you don't want to be a doctor. If all you're interested in is in why somebody died, do not be a doctor. I don't want you as my doctor. You need to be a mortician. You need to be a medical examiner. I am not a forensic scientist. This is not what I do, and I'm not about to start. I'm a repair tech. Get it fixed quick, get it fixed right, get it back to the customer as quickly as possible for the least amount of expense from the customer, and then get to your next customer and keep doing that every day, at least 8 to 10 hours a day, at least 5 days a week, and you'll be able to make your house payment. Get it? I'm not going to just bilk one customer for all the amount of money I need. Well, let's see, my house payment's due. I need to bring in this much money. I'm going to start making up repairs so I can earn more money. I would rather close my doors and go out of business than do that to people. Medical examiners are doctors. Yeah, I never said they weren't. What I'm referring to is being a medical doctor, somebody who's trying to save lives, right? Being in a hospital. So this is something a nerd does. If you didn't understand the wording, but you want to correct my wording, then what you're doing is acting like a computer, as if you don't have a brain that you can't understand context. It's really annoying. Keep it up. You're going to make a lot of friends that way. All right, let's see. Our friend Mark Baggett just sent a PayPal contribution. Look at this. Thank you, Mark. Okay, my Windows 11, I'm done with that. I'm going to put it back in the drawer. And again, if I turn this around this way, you can see that nice clean install. I'm very proud of this build. It's nice and clean. You barely see any cables at all. No RGB, no glass panels, none of this home user playing around nonsense for, oh, let's put some glitter on it. Have a good time, paint your nails. I don't care. In order for me to help as many people as possible that need help, doing anything selfishly only hurts me. If a customer's got to take longer for their service, if I'm spending too much time on myself for my own personal curiosities or decor, when I should be doing this, the only person I'm punishing is me. The customer will eventually take their business somewhere else. But if you're sitting at home and you do this as a hobby, have fun. There's plenty of YouTube channels that cover hobbyist activities. I'm providing this information to show you there's another side to it, and it's not how we do this in the business world. What you're seeing on YouTube primarily is hobbyist activities. There's nothing wrong with that so long as you realize that's not what computer work looks like in the real world if you're getting paid for it. There are a few exceptions, but generally speaking, if you want to be properly prepared to enter this industry, it's different from most content creators' videos. But luckily, there are folks like Mike's Unboxing, myself, Doug Betts, Scott Merrill, and a handful of others, but they're few and far between. Those channels with 1 million subscribers, they're almost all universally hobbyists. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not. It's like watching a show on TV about lawyers or doctors or cops. If you think that's how it really happens, most of that's fiction. Even documentaries are often embellished. So when you talk to somebody that's actually doing that for a living, and you show them that thing on TV, they'll just shake their head and go, enjoy your entertainment. It's fine for entertainment, but it is not education. I'm trying to educate. And if I can make that education entertaining, all the better. But it's not meant to put anybody down. It's meant to bring people up. Mike's Unboxing says RGB makes the PC more reliable and stops M.2 drives from failing. No, it doesn't. That's what stickers do. If we can put some stickers on this thing, I promise you it can run 10% faster and crash less often and prevent your M.2 from failing. And that is not true. Well, if stickers don't make things run faster, then how come every car that wins a professional car race has stickers on it? Oh, you got me. I'm such an idiot. Good thing you were here. Don't argue with those people. Just nod your head and say, wow, you're really smart. Have a nice day now. Bye-bye. That's right, Alan. This says those are Go Faster stickers. They are indeed. That's why they call them Go Faster stickers, because they make them go faster. He says, Mike's Unboxing says, yeah, the Intel Inside sticker would have saved that PC. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to put an AMD sticker on it. Ooh. This thing would have been in here. This would have never left the office, right? It never would have been stable. Got to be compatible stickers. Is he being sarcastic? Try to get back into my chat room here. What happened? Got a window that won't close. Come on. What's it doing this? There we go. Nicarena says, is that why they stopped including the SSD stickers a while back? Yeah, because they want you to buy a faster SSD. Sure, that sounds good. Yeah, you definitely don't want to be there. Cable loose. Okay, there I am. Yeah, I guess my OBS software didn't like something. That was weird. Have you tried turning it off and on again? Martin Hogg joins us from Scotland, says hello. What's happening, Mara?
Well, okay, because last year.
Yeah, OBS had a little freak out. I just realized it. I don't know how long it was doing that.
Like just.
Yeah, well, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Check it on you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you letting me know. It could have been a few more minutes before I realized. I'm assuming my audio was still going out, but I don't know.
Yeah, and then it was going out, and then it kind of. And then it.
No idea. Whatever it was, it wasn't. The output of this was fine, and the output of the camera was fine.
Maybe OBS has low blood sugar.
OBS just gave me 0 input signal on everything, and I don't know why it did that. Maybe Windows was downloading an update in the background and took all my resources momentarily. I don't know, don't care. It seems to be done.
Low blood sugar.
One-time issues I'm not worried about. Low blood sugar happens all the time. So that we can address that because we can repeat it.
Right.
But if it happens once, I'm not spending too much time worrying about why. Would you, since you're down here,
Yeah.
would you get me a cold one of these?
Yeah, of course.
These people are really burning me up. That's okay. I like it. So something else I like to do on a new build that every one of you can do watching this without any cause of harm or damage. It's all sanctioned by Microsoft. It's guaranteed to not cause any problems. As you go over to the desktop here. Yeah, you can have this warm one. I'll take the cold one. Thank you. We're going to go over here to full screen for me. Here we go. And I'm just going to type in right here. And I recommend everybody do this. Go right here and type in disk cleanup. I can just start typing it and it comes up as a suggestion. Give that EO clicky clicky, and then here we clean up system files. Let that study for a moment. Depending on the size drive and how much clutter you've got, that could be a while. Then when it's done, it'll come up with these little check boxes. I check every single one of them. And I check them with impunity. I don't care what they say, and I don't care what they are. That's all temp files that are optional and unnecessary. And right here, it says it's going to free up 3.28 gig on a brand new install. And hit delete files. I've seen this clear up hundreds of gigs on computers where owners had no idea. Then when we're done, suddenly the computer's faster, they got a lot more free drive space, and you don't have to download a third-party utility. Just use what Microsoft gives you, and your odds of having a good experience with Windows are going to be much higher than people who won't leave it alone. Now, apart from third-party software, nothing wrong with installing software not made by Microsoft. Unless that software is a software utility, it can cause problems if it's a utility. So I recommend stay away from anything that's not a Microsoft-sanctioned window utility, with some exceptions. And if you're unsure, you're welcome to email us and ask us, is this safe? Or, what are the potential damages down the road if I do this? You're welcome to ask, and we'll give you an opinion. It's an opinion. That'll be, you're fine, or I'd stay away from it. Doesn't necessarily mean other people will agree with it, but if you're interested in my opinion, that's how you can reach out. Or if you're interested in my fact on how to resolve a problem that you've already got, not a friend of yours, not someone you know, not somebody who's asking somewhere else so you can provide the answer like you came up with it. I'm not playing that. But if you have a problem, feel free to reach out and we'll do our best to, if we can't solve it, maybe point you in the direction of a solution. Or feel free to ask our community, because we have very knowledgeable, in many cases, much more knowledgeable than me, members in our community that are more than happy to help you as well and give you their suggestions. And I wouldn't dismiss them. All right, does anybody have any questions for me? I'm more than happy to, I'm just going to be honest with my answers. If you don't want honesty, then don't ask your question. But I would hope you'd want me to be honest. And this is what this whole YouTube is based on. This whole YouTube channel that I have here is based on honesty, transparency, full disclosure. I'm not walking on any eggshells. I'm not trying to scare you about, oh, you can't create local accounts on Windows. Oh, Windows updates breaks SSDs. Oh, it's all just high school gossip. I do not engage in gossip. I refuse to lower myself to that level of mentality. But you can find it everywhere on YouTube, except here. We will not engage in gossip. You guys can engage in gossip. I'm not engaging in gossip. Mark Baggett mentions he uses the Windows PC Manager. PC Manager is a CCleaner alternative made and sanctioned by Microsoft. It's not the same as disk cleanup. Just because you have one doesn't mean you shouldn't be using the other. And if you don't believe me, if you think disk cleanup is cleaning up everything, then run PC Manager and you'll see it missed a lot of stuff. And the reverse is true. If you run PC Manager and think you don't need to run disk cleanup, verify it. Let me know what happens. I just cleaned it. How is it possible if I cleaned it here that this other thing says this? Because they're not cleaning the same things. They are cleaning some of the same things. Like a Venn diagram, there's an overlap. But there's also the outside edges where they're looking at different things to clean. So you can run them both, and there's no harm in it. What is PC Manager? It is a free utility from Microsoft. We first talked about it about 3 or 4 years ago. And I think it should be included by default with Windows, and it should auto-run. But if nobody tells you, there's no way you would know it exists. Microsoft doesn't do much to market it. So if we want to put it over here, we'd come over to this computer here, which has finished its disk cleanup. And we'll come down to the search bar and just type in PC space MAN. And it already comes up right here. Not PCmatic. Don't waste your money. Microsoft PC Manager is free. Now, it may take you to a website or it may open the Microsoft Store. Either way, 601, half dozen of the other. You do not have to be signed in to a Microsoft account. You do not have to be signed in to the Microsoft Store. I'm not signed in, and look. I hit Get. I click Yes. Pretty small application. It's preparing to download the file, which should be relatively quick on a modern day internet connection. And it will auto install here in just a moment. There it goes. 73 megs, is that all it is? No, 50 megs, it's 50 megs. By today's standards, compare that to an NVIDIA driver. That's nearly a gig. So we're going to have that install. And again, it's relatively quick as far as downloading and installing goes. And will I sit here and watch it? You don't have to. I guess if you were doing other things like watching YouTube videos, you can do that at the same time if you want to. But it's usually so quick that by the time you switch over and get back to something else, it's already done. So we'll give that a minute here to finish installing. It's actually going a little bit slower than what I'm accustomed to, but it's fine. In just a minute, we should see this complete. Most of you, if you're following along with me, it probably already installed for you. I'm not sure why it's installing as slowly as it is. And as a matter of fact, I think I will probably bump this computer to like 64 gigs for this client. Memory's a lot cheaper now than it was 3 years ago. And the software the client uses is very memory intensive. Everything else they do in Windows, like Office and things, and on Adobe, that stuff doesn't really take up much, like Adobe Acrobat. But when it comes to the software they're using for the business, we ran some testing to see if they noticed a difference between 60 gigs, 32 gigs, and 64, and they absolutely confirmed 64 made a difference. I don't want to bill my customers for things they don't need, so I did not default to 64 because I figured most people don't need it. But some people do. Turns out there are some people. Now I know that, and I won't sell them an under-equipped computer again. But I always play it cautiously. Just waiting for this to finish. It's bizarre to me it's taking this long. It's a Murphy's Law because we're live. You know, it's going to do this, and that's fine. At this point, nothing surprises me in this regard. But this is not a normal length of time that should be taking. And I don't care why. I really don't. Unless I'm starting to experience this over and over again, it's just faster to let it take its time and then try and figure out why is this one particular installation, this one particular time, slow. I don't care. But if it continues to be slow on other installs, I'm going to have to look into it. But I suspect this is just a consequence of the timing we have. Because that's the kind of timing I have. And this will be finished here. Well, we're what, halfway done? Just about, so. Very strange. Now, if the computer's doing something in the background, like maybe it's installing an update, which I don't believe it is, or if it's still running the disk cleanup, then I would expect this to be normal for this to take this long, since we're multitasking all these different things. But as far as I know, this computer's idle. And this is a 50 meg program. It should have already been done. We should have already run it and been done with it. So what I'm showing you is not normal, but it's still okay. I can cancel this and reboot the computer and see if it fixes it. The amount of time that'll take, this will already be done. That's why I'm telling you, don't get so obsessed about every little thing. When something becomes a regular issue, that's when it's time to become obsessed. All right, so when that's finishing, I'm going to jump back over here and let's put camera 1 down in the corner again. So we'll both keep an eye on that. It's just about done. As soon as I set this up in the corner, you watch. All right, we'll let that run. Eugene Ildago just became a supporter. Thank you, Eugene. Mark Liebowitz wants to know, does it pay to hold on to a 24H2 copy of Windows 11 flash drive for the purposes of using it for its repair environment? Well, that's really for you to decide. None of my clients, well, first of all, if you need a 24H2, you can still get it. You will be able to get 24H2 as needed. Oh, there we go, finally finished. Until 24H2 is no longer under support, in which case you shouldn't be repairing it. That's the way I see it. So for me, the answer is no. But maybe you like to work on unsupported computers, in which case for you, the answer is yes. If I had a flash drive for every single version of Windows 11 and Windows 10 and Windows 8 and Windows 7, I'd have like 27 flash drives, and good luck finding the one you need. And I would use it once. The customers better pay me really damn well. I hope you're charging for that. Now that this is installed, I'm going to go over here and we can close this out. automatically start PC Manager when I sign into Windows? Yes. And it says, here's how much memory you're using and how many temporary files. Well, didn't we just clean the temporary files? We did, but there's more that Microsoft Disk Cleanup did not clean. Hit the boost button, and it clears out some of your memory usage if any of it's extraneous, and it clears out this temporary file area that it's looking at that's different from what Windows Disk Cleanup is looking at. We go to Disk Cleanup and see, well, are there other temporary files still? Oh, what do you know? There are still more. Hit Proceed. Now, if you go and check all these boxes, when I hit the Disk Cleanup, you see all these other boxes that come up. This may clear out your cache, your saved passwords, your cookies. So I don't change anything. Just leave all the defaults alone, hit Proceed. We'll go back home and I'll turn on the automatic boosting so that this can automatically run the boost mode if the amount of RAM you're using is really, really high, or if there are at least 1 gig of temp files, it'll automatically clean it in the background. And I do like to see this down here in the system tray to remind me it's there. So I right click on the taskbar, I go to taskbar settings, and I go to other system tray icons. I personally turn off OneDrive and literally turn on everything else. This is all sanctioned by Microsoft. We're not editing any registry settings. And I'm not saying that any registry setting edit is dangerous, but it's definitely, for me anyway, a last ditch. Like if there's no other way to get it done, we don't have a choice. But if we can get it done through the interface and through legitimate Microsoft command lines that are designed for that option to be enabled and disabled in that manner, that's fine with me. But editing the registry, you could screw everything up. It's basically Windows heart surgery. And if you don't know what you're doing, I hope if you're experimenting, you made a backup first. But you should have had a backup anyway. Now get me started. I also want to get rid of this wallpaper. I'm going to go over here to personalize. And then I'm going to just choose the Windows 11 default theme. And we're good. All good. I'm not a big fan of these widgets and things, me personally. So what I will do is I'll right click and go to, sorry, I would, right click on the taskbar, go to taskbar settings, and I uncheck these two boxes to get rid of that nonsense. And then I choose what system tray icons. I kind of do that all at once. For some reason, I kind of had a mental blank out there and forgot to uncheck those boxes. If customers do like the widgets with the task view, you see that little button that's appearing down here by the search bar? When I turn on task view, see? My customers don't know what that is. They don't know how to use it. I don't want to explain it. If they don't know what it is, they don't need it, we turn it off. And widgets, if you look on the far left of my taskbar, when I turn that on, you'll see this widget is displaying some information about, well, you can configure it. You want weather, you want sports, you want it on your taskbar. I don't. You might. I turn that off. Remember, I have business clients primarily. They're there to work. Now, if their boss allows them to put that personalized information on, I don't have a problem with it. They don't get it from me like that. Unless they specifically asked me to not do that. This is my default setting. If you're going to work with me, I'm going to set you up the same as I set everybody else up because I don't want those support calls. How come my little weather stopped appearing? Oh boy, here we go. I guess that's really important for you. I'll just stop my whole day. I have an easy fix for that. Let's just take the weather off the screen and you have a window you can look out to your right or your left or straight ahead or behind you. You're probably in a room with a window. That will show you your weather. No, I do fix those problems. I do. It's just that I'm gritting my teeth the whole time. I'm just mumbling to myself. It's kind of funny. I don't let the customer know. Just weather, task view. Wow. Widgets. Most of my job I love. When there's a real problem with sincere consequences, I never feel more alive and necessary and needed and worthwhile. I'm going to save the day. Let's see, what do we have in the chat room? And feel free to interact with me. I hope you do. Don't be afraid of me. I do bite, but it actually tickles. Let's see. Gary says we could try running Crystal Dismark to ensure that the Crucial drive we've installed is running correctly. I think that Crucial drive is probably running exactly. If we Google it for, I'll just open Copilot. And then we'll run Crystal Dismark and we'll see if it matches. Because I'm guessing that P3 runs at like 33,000 megabytes per second on a sequential read. But maybe I'm remembering it wrong. So what is the speed of a Crucial P3 NVMe? Copilot says 3,500 on the read, 3,000 on the writes. With that information, let's grab a flash drive and let's check it out. And this drive has been sitting on the shelf, but the reliability and durability of solid state drives is such that I don't think to do this, because I would spend more time checking than I would ever spend fixing a bad one. No, we probably just need a reboot, but regardless of that, let's just, for the sake of curiosity, it's easy and quick, we can absolutely check that. So we'll go back over here. And we'll go over to the folder over here. Go to my utilities flash drive. Go to PC testing software, and we're going to bring over Crystal Disk Info if we want to see the health of the drive, and Crystal Dismark. And I only use portable versions. I don't install software on my customers' computers because it's profoundly unprofessional. All right, so we're going to open this up. We're going to run on Dismark 64. And yes, close that and hit all. We're on the C drive. We have lots of free space. We're only using 37 gigs out of 465 available. And we're going to look at that first top left number, and it's exactly where it's supposed to be. It's within range. So these drives don't run at a precise speed, but they do run within a range. And this is well within its operational expected range. And we'll let that finish. And while it's running, let me bring back camera one and put myself in a corner. We can watch it do all the other tests. We'll have it do all 4 of the tests. And that way the drive can heat up and we can verify that we don't have any heat-related slowness happening on the drive. Might as well while we're here. I don't believe it's happening, and it happens so infrequently, especially on a Generation 3 drive. It takes more time to test it than it does to actually address the real problem, because that problem very rarely ever happens. I don't want to spend more time trying to avoid a potential repair than the unlikelihood of that repair surfacing would take to fix. So I appreciate that suggestion, and just out of curiosity. But I didn't see anything that indicated any unusual behavior. I think something was going on in the background while we were installing PC Manager. And if I would have restarted the computer after the disk cleanup, we probably would have had a different experience. I'm just guessing, but it's not. People's lack of patience and their intolerance is nothing to be proud of. Sometimes it's faster to go slower. Because if you go faster and you crash harder, and you're probably not getting back up. If you're going slower, you're less likely to lose control and crash. And when you do crash, you likely didn't do much damage, and you pick the bike back up. If you're bicycling, you know, nobody's doing the Tour de France balls out from beginning to end. You're not going to make it to the end if you do that. That means you're not faster, you're slower. Think about it. We're just about at 3,000 megabytes per second on the writes. We're what? 89 megabytes below what it can do. Say that's, as far as computers go, that's a bullseye. Ben Laird wants to know, can Windows Update turn BitLocker on? No. No, it cannot. Not at this time. Microsoft can make Windows do whatever the hell they want it to do. So at this time, maybe forever, that may be true. Maybe it'll change. But if you have a backup, who cares? That's all I want to know. If you have a backup, what difference does it make? These are the kind of questions people without backups ask. Just a heads up. RLD says, when you reinstall Windows 11, you're updating the BIOS. No, no. When you're eating dinner, you're not mowing the grass. These are two individualized things. One is not happening because of the other one. I don't know where you got that idea, but that is not reality. What else? When I actually need to update my BIOS, I have a 1-year-old system and I'm afraid a little to update it. Then don't do it. Leave it alone. If you're not having any problems with your system and you're being influenced by content creators on the internet, and you need to stay in your lane, period. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, don't do it, or pay somebody to do it for you. If, on the other hand, you're having a problem with your computer and you're wanting to fix it, we'll be happy to help you fix it. But if all you're doing is dreaming up imaginary illnesses that you don't have, then you're a hypochondriac. In the case of a technical issue, you're a technochondriac. That's something a doctor can help you with. I can't help you with that. There's no reason for you to fuss around with a system if there's nothing wrong with it and you're not comfortable doing it. It's ridiculous. That's absolutely preposterous. You know, one of the things that I'm curious about, since we see our results, right? Our crystal disk mark results are exactly where I would expect them to be on a P3. It's good to confirm that, because even though I thought, you know, that feels fine to me, I could have been wrong. So verification to what is true versus what you believe, to me, is very important. I could give a rat's behind what you believe. I really don't care. You can believe the earth is flat. You can believe I'm 10 feet tall. Good for you. What I care about is, what is it in reality? What can we all agree on? And I think most of us would agree I'm not 10 feet tall and the earth is not flat. But you believing otherwise doesn't harm anything. So it has no impact on me or anybody else. So we don't care. Enjoy your fantasy land or your alternate reality. Maybe in your reality the earth is flat, but the rest of us are living in a different reality than you. And that's okay. You don't have to join us. We don't have to join you. You're welcome to believe whatever you want to believe. In my line of work, this is not a luxury that I have. I can't believe. I need to prove evidence that I and my customer can verify, agree on, that this is a problem. Yes, I agree. This is the fix. Yes, we agree. Right? But if you're worried about just trying to address an issue that you don't have because you're thinking you'll avoid having the issue, but you don't feel comfortable on how to do that, you're creating your own issue when you weren't having an issue. And what you've just done is made one. So set your expectations accordingly. But since you mentioned BIOS, and I'm glad you did, there may be a BIOS for this. I don't know. Let's check and see. Let's go over to, well, first, let me save a screenshot of these results so I can remember that I did it. So we're going to go over here to File, Save as an image, save an image, save it as a JPEG. Put it on the desktop, and we'll call it crystal disk mark results. And that should put that right over here. And now I can close this and I've got a record of it. Now, with regards to the BIOS, one way we can tell what BIOS version we have would be looking in the BIOS itself. So let's try that. Let's just restart. And when this restarts, I'll start pressing the delete key. And I can use a system utility like CPU-Z. Even the Intel driver installer from Intel will give us this information. We don't have to exit out of the system, go in the BIOS, but this is another way. So we have a Gigabyte B560 HD3. Everything we need to know is right here. Gigabyte, it's a B560 HD3, and our BIOS version is F15. With that information, I can escape out of this and let it boot back into Windows. And we will Google B560 HD3 BIOS download and see what the latest version is from Gigabyte. Nobody else, no other source of BIOS is valid or authenticated or allowed. Doing so, if you worked for me, you might as well just pack your bags and go home. We don't do that. We're not hacks. All right, we're going to be professionals, and we're going to make sure we're using authenticated, real, genuine data. And we're going to get it from the source, and no other location is acceptable when dealing with professionals. Now, I'm going to come up here, and I'll just type in B560 HD3 BIOS download. The B560 HD3 is only made by Gigabyte, so well, if I put the word Gigabyte in, it's fine, but it's unnecessary and redundant. The very first link that appears in our search, oh, am I not on the right? Hold on a minute, I think I'm looking at the wrong. Hold on a second. I don't think I'm on the right. Oh, I am on the right one. All right, so I got my mice confused. All right, we're gonna go to this first link, gigabyte.com. B560 HD3. We're gonna scroll all the way down. BIOS, there are 12 BIOSes that have come out. And the latest one is on top. There is since F15 has been updated, there's now an F17 and an F18B. These BIOS updates would not have addressed our solid state drive because the solid state drive did work with whatever BIOS it had when it was built. It wouldn't just suddenly stop working because of a BIOS update. So don't think for a minute that a BIOS update would have fixed our solid state drive any more than you eating your broccoli prevents you from having a flat tire on your car. They're totally unrelated things. Now, when you see a B, usually that indicates, well, when you see a letter, like here, there's a letter B, where none of these others have letters, that usually indicates it's a beta, but it's not such a beta that it has to be handed to you privately from an authorized technician for the symptoms you're describing to support. It's a beta that's damn near ready for public consumption, has pretty well been tested, and it just needs to go through a formal internal process for that B to go away. But the fact that it made it this far that anybody in the public can download it, there's nothing dangerous about it. It's at this point, it's a formality. So we're going to go ahead and download that BIOS. And then that puts this zip file on our computer, which I'll click on, and I'll click extract all, and we're going to extract the contents of that. Perfect. All right, so we're going to close all this out. And when we look at the extracted folder, we're going to look for the biggest file. 1 is pretty small, 115, whatever that is, a little bigger, 57, a little bigger, 32,000. Okay, that's the BIOS, just in case. You'll also notice the tail of it mentions the BIOS version. I'm going to right click and hit copy. With that being done, I'm going to grab, first of all, yeah, you can still see me. I'm going to take this flash drive out. I'm going to grab just a blank small flash drive. So small these days is about 8 gigs. You can use a 16 or a 32, but I recommend it be completely empty. So I keep flash drives that are empty in my drawer for just this very reason. I'm going to plug that in, and you're going to see it's totally empty and it's ready to be used. Give that a second. That's going to appear. And we're going to go over here to screen for me. We're going to go right here. It says SAM data. That's the drive I just plugged in. And I'll hit the paste button. And that's going to paste that BIOS file onto that flash drive. Following me? That's all I need out of all that stuff that was in that zip file. Because I'm a technician, I know what I need. I know what all that stuff is. I'm not ritualizing. I'm telling you, this is the key component to everything. So I'm going to hit the start button and I'm going to restart, and we're going to go back into that BIOS again, just like we did before. As it comes up, I'll start pressing the delete key. This board requires delete key. Some other computers would be a different key. And I start pressing it right now, just repeatedly, tap, 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 tap. And hopefully that'll work and get us into the BIOS. Tap, tap, tap. Okay, now if I want to update the BIOS, if you look, just read what's on your, so many people refuse to look at what's on the screen. I don't see it. Well, it's right in front of you, but I don't see it. Well, tell me what you see. When you ask a customer to do that, they go, well, I see it says English, it says help, it says advanced mode. Is it in advanced mode? Well, please keep reading. Oh, sorry, smart fan, load optimized defaults. Is that the please, I will stop you. Okay, just keep reading. Q flash, that's it. That's what you want, Q flash. Oh, that's the thing. Yes, please click on that. Oh, okay. You see where it says update BIOS? Update BIOS. Yeah, click on that. Okay. Do you see the BIOS on the flash drive? I do. Click on it. Okay. Is it doing anything? No. Try double clicking. Okay. Is it doing anything? No. Double click it again. Now is it doing something? Are you sure? Click yes. Okay. Now what? Now leave it alone and don't touch it. It says press to start. Okay, go ahead and hit press to start. It says in order to make a complete update, the system is going to shut down. Just press OK. You don't have to finish reading it. Okay. You're rude. I'm just trying to get it done. We have other things to do today. All right. Let's go. And then the system's going to reboot, and leave it alone. Don't touch it. Don't turn it off. Don't play with your keyboard. Don't play with your mouse. Go play with something else. Leave this alone. It's going to take a couple minutes. It doesn't need you anymore. It'll let you know when it's done. Let's go full screen so you can see everything. There's nothing to be afraid of. But if you are afraid of it, stay away from it. In fact, if you're afraid of anything in life, my suggestion is you avoid it. Nothing personal, just ain't for you. Alex Cheek says, thank you for the membership. I'm watching in DVR mode. I'm a little late to the party. Hey, all good, man. Welcome in. Was that from Barry Klein that did that, I think? Chris at Goblin IT says the only real reason one would need a newer BIOS is if, say, you got a newer CPU. No, that's not true at all. No, there's multiple reasons you'd need a new BIOS. And the Windows Management Update Intel Management Engine may have updates that improve security, performance, reliability. There may be security updates and patches that prevent your BIOS from being exploited. There could be compatibility updates in the BIOS to accommodate different security requirements of Windows updates that now say weren't enabled when you bought the board, but now you need those features enabled. There are so many reasons that this idea that you would be so tunnel visioned and say you're in an IT scares the hell out of me. Quite frankly, you have no business being in IT, in my opinion, if you truly believe what you just said. But that's my opinion, and I'm going to call it out if I disagree with you, and you can call out if you disagree with me. That's fine. But somebody in this business should know better. Patrick Manny just sent out a gift membership, and that just went to Alan Lindos. Right on. And Alan says thank you to Patrick Manny. Look at that. Love it. Mark Gaines just sent a gift membership, and Sam F2000 just received that gift membership from Mark Gaines. Remember, the people who gift the memberships don't get to decide who they go to. YouTube decides that. So congratulations and welcome into membership. We love having you here. And thank you to our generosity of our members that are doing that. For complete strangers, I think is pretty damn awesome. Mark Leibowitz says, last week I replaced a Windows 10 computer for a client who couldn't live without her widgets. Yeah. I found suitable apps in the Microsoft Store that satisfied her first time anyone ever asked. Yeah, so again, when you're working for consumers, you're going to get all kinds of weird requests that aren't typical. And my guess is this person is not running a business, but if they are running a business, it's their own home business with no employees. Am I right? We can stereotype a lot of, we can pigeonhole a lot of this stuff because it's got a lot of red flags. But yeah, it's okay. She's not doing anything wrong. It's just an unusual, uncommon request. So you see the Elgato no signal. That means the system is restarting right now and there's no video output while it restarts, just like when you're restarting your computer. This computer is no different. And in just a minute, we should see the Gigabyte logo appear. And it still may not be done. Different BIOSes may need a reboot to continue the BIOS update. That's why it's important you leave it alone and don't interfere with it. So even though you can hear me but you can't see me, I guess I can put camera 1 back on. Nothing is wrong. There's nothing for you to react to yet. This is all part of the normal process. You need to stay out of the way. Unless you like problems, stay out of the way. So by leaving it alone and letting it finish doing what you just asked it to do, you will be more likely successful in your endeavor. If, however, you start freaking out because you feel like this is taking too long and you start unplugging and trying, you just screwed it all up. And it's your fault for being intolerant and impatient. The easiest thing is to leave it the hell alone. And if you give it some time and be patient, you'll see it's coming back. It was busy. Respect that. If you're not going to respect it, don't go through this process. It's only doing what you asked it to do. Why would you then interfere or obstruct with it? It doesn't make any sense. It's due to a lack of patience. It's due to intolerance. And it's due to an impulsiveness that somebody can't control. So not everybody should do this. You know you better than anybody else. And if you know you can't leave it alone, do not do this. Adjust your expectations accordingly. We're 100% successful because we left it alone. If you're not 100% successful, my first guess is you caused it. Not always, but I'm saying most of the time, user caused. Now, if we want to look at our BIOS version now, and as I mentioned, there's lots of different ways we can do that. But I'll right-click on my input so I can see it full screen here. We can run CPU-Z, right? But before I do that, I want to delete this BIOS file off of the flash drive. Why? I never need it again. Just click on that and delete it. Now that flash drive is back to being empty. You agree? It's an empty flash drive. I can unplug it, put it back in my drawer, and it's ready for the next system, whenever that is. Put a BIOS on it. Or anything else I need a flash drive for. It's right there, good to go. I'm going to take my utilities flash drive and plug it back in, and we're going to take CPU-Z and a few other utilities off of this while we're at it. So I'm going to put that in here. We're going to go over to the Windows Explorer, over to the D drive, and we're going to grab VLC, that installed. I also want Uncle Carey's Windows 10 Optimizer. We'll grab that and move that over. And I want, let's see, CPU-Z. That's what I came in here for. So under PC Testing Software, we're going to grab It's not in here. Is it over here? Yeah. And these are all free for you to download. Everything you see, except for my optimizer, is you just Google it. I can't sell it to you. I can't make a flash drive with all this on there. That would be me stealing from these people. And, you know, they don't like that. So, but you can go get it yourself. That they like. And it's their creation, so it's not anybody else's to give away. It doesn't belong to you. All right, I'm going to click on CPU-Z. I'm going to go to 64-bit CPU-Z. Again, it's a portable application. We're not installing any software on a customer's computer because it's what? Unprofessional. We're not hacks. That's the kind of work hacks do. All right, there's our BIOS version right here, F17V. We're good to go. Those downloads that we had, right, the zip file and the extracted zip file will be in our downloads folder. So you just go over here, click on downloads. There's our zip file with the zipper on the folder. We'll delete it. And there's the extraction. And we don't need that anymore. We're all done with it. And just to clean up after ourselves, we'll empty the recycle bin. To put on VLC, again, it's a free download. I'm going to click, double click, and hit yes. And click OK. And next. I'll tell you what, man, that's real easy. Just click. And that installed as fast as it should have. So, you know, we're not having like a universal slow install issue with this computer. That did exactly what it was supposed to do. I'll go ahead and run my optimizer on here. We'll close this out. My Windows 10 optimizer still works on Windows 11. And everything we do is sanctioned by Microsoft. It's just automating it. You can do every one of these steps by hand if you want to. This just makes it thorough. Make sure that all the options are being checked instead of having to reboot between some things and going, wait a minute, did I already do that or didn't I? This just takes care of it all faster than any human could, and then it just wants to reboot when it's done. We have links for everything in our video notes below for the optimizer. We have a forum. We have our email address. You know, we love hearing from you guys. And we love helping you out. And we also love calling you out when you're making up nonsense. When you want to tell me about the Loch Ness Monster, I'm calling out nonsense. All right, so just be prepared. You can gossip. I cannot gossip. It is not professional. If you're not professional, I don't hold you to those standards. But when you're asking me a question, I will always answer it professionally, responsibly, and with accountability. They're just like all my paying customers. I don't treat you guys any different. I don't talk to you any different. Oh, I think I can go full screen again because we're nothing really to see here. Move along. Nothing to see here. Let's see. Dustin Fuller says, great stream as always, Carey and Mara. Thank you for your kindness, Dustin. We're always delighted to have you here in the chat joining us. Andy says it's been a rough session today. Has it? I feel great. Let me see. Ken says the only way you can learn is to not be afraid to fail. It's true. If you never do anything, you'll never fail. Congratulations. I guess you beat the system, right? Mike's Unboxing says, I agree with Carey. There's a multitude of reasons why a BIOS update is advised, if not mandatory, if the computer is connected to the internet in some way. That's a good caveat. I'm making the assumption if you've got a computer, you're connecting it to the internet. But there's always going to be a few people out there that don't. In which case, those BIOS updates are probably irrelevant. Mr. Funseeker said, I prefer honesty, Carey. So do I. Don't waste my time. What's the expression? You got to look up the expression. I can't think of what it is. Don't blow sunshine up my skirt. Is it something like that, or the opposite? Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. It's just, you know, if you honestly don't know something, no harm and no shame in not knowing. Feel free to ask. But if you're going to make a false statement and try and tell me it's true, I will call you out on that every single time. I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm just telling you what to expect. LRCX says you can't argue with an honest answer. That's right. I can tell you the information, but I can't understand it for you. And so any sort of debating it is pointless and a waste of time. It won't change. Whether or not you understand something doesn't change that something. I can't control that. That is up to you. Thank you to Patrick, Manny, Mark Gaines for the gift membership that they offered. And Mark Gaines did it again. I see 2 for Mark Gaines today. Thank you to Rick Lakes and Alan Lindos for the Super Chat contributions. Brian Weber also gave out a gift membership. Barry Klein with 20 gift memberships. Mark Leibowitz with 1 gift membership today. Samuel Kowalski renewed his membership. Carl Carroll became a new continuing member. And Jamie McGregor renewed his membership as well. And Eugene Eldago also became a new member. So I can't thank you guys enough for joining us here. And also in email, Charlie Purdy, thank you so much for your Super Chat contribution. It was very generous, not Super Chat, but Amazon gift card contribution. It means the world to me. I don't expect that kind of generosity. And when I get it, it always floors me. And I can't thank you enough for that. Also to folks that have written in, thank you for writing in your questions and your comments to our email address. And for the people that have sent, like Mark Baggett, sent some money via PayPal. And of course, our friend Buster, Peter Laycock, who always sends in his Super Chat via Amazon gift card. We can't thank you enough for helping to support us. So we're not here making commercials like most content creators do. I don't mind that they make commercials. I don't want to do that. I don't care what they do. I'm not interested in that. I don't want to do that. And with your contributions, I don't have to. And I have the freedom and independence for total freedom to create videos I want to watch that I hope you want to watch too. Instead of trying to figure out what's the thing that can give me the most views, how can I pander and hide who I truly am so more people like me. No, you're not going to get that from me ever. Don't care. If you like me, that's great. If you don't like me, that's fine too. But what I really like is my independence, my ability to speak honestly with no consequences about how I feel as a professional, if I would put my name behind something, or if I would be embarrassed if I sold that to a customer. And it's not out to attack anybody, and it's not out to have any biases. I'm just telling you, running a business, if I was running a restaurant and I could get cheaper quality food, but that food tasted terrible and I wouldn't eat it, I'm not serving it to my customers, and ultimately I will probably hurt the success of my business. So I have standards, and those standards are set by my customers. They're not set by me. Price, availability, quality, speed, performance, security, that all has to be included in this thought process to ensure that when my clients are buying from me, they're not stuck making all those decisions. They don't know where to begin. They're trusting me to make those decisions for them. And if I'm just going after the cheapest thing, they're going to think I don't know what I'm doing. And if I go after the most expensive thing, they're saying, well, he's pretty good, but he's too much money. In order for me to continue to generate business tomorrow and the day after that, and the week and the month after that, and a year after that, there's only one way I know how to sustain it, and that is to provide exactly what my customers want and expect with all of those conditions: availability, price, performance, security. I'm missing one. Price, performance, security, reliability, and availability. It doesn't do you any good if I can't get the part. It won't be in for 4 weeks. We don't have 4 weeks. Give us an alternative. What are we paying you for? LRCX says, thanks for the live today. I wish I had a mini to work on. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow, Larry. That's a private joke. Jeff Adams, I like the fix. It was a different one. You know, I was talking about a Monty Python video back in the 70s. And it was Monty Python's Secret Policeman's Ball live on stage with Peter Cook. I was thinking it was Peter Sellers. Peter Cook. And the name of the skit is called Interesting Facts. Type in Monty Python space Interesting Facts. And that is exactly like the internet. This was 50 years ago. Nothing has changed. And it's hilarious. And if you've never seen it, I strongly encourage you, after this video, pull up Monty Python Interesting Facts. It should pull it up on YouTube. And buckle in, because I don't want you to fall out of your chair. Let me just check that search real quick and make sure it comes up. Monty Python. I should not look at my keyboard. It's screwing me up. Interesting Facts. You're going to scroll down and you're going to see John Cleese and Peter Cook sitting on a bench. John Cleese is reading a newspaper. Peter Cook is wearing a hat and leaning into him to talk to him. That's the video I want you to watch. And who knew at the time that that was a psychic video that would predict human behavior 55 years after it was made? Thereabouts. Just saying. It's funnier now than it was then. Alan says he'll stop in tomorrow. Great. We'd love to see you on our members only video. As a reminder, every Monday we do members only videos. Those are videos only members can ever watch, ever. If you're new to membership, feel free to go back and watch the members only videos we've done in the past, because that's the only way you can see them is as a member. This is our way of giving back to the members and creating a tighter knit community where we can talk about, you know, what's going on behind the scenes and some things that are going on in an informal manner. And I hope to see you in there, and I hope you enjoy it. You also have full access as a member to our full video library for all the content more than 12 months old. And you also get priority support from us. So if you ever have a question or a concern and you reach out to our email address as a member, you will get a priority response. Although we do try to respond to everybody. If we have 6 emails that come in, first email we're going to answer is the first member we see. Second email will be the next member we see. And then if we're done, you know, we got to go, we have errands to run, we'll get back to the other ones later. All right? But we do try to get back to everybody eventually, but members get priority response. We're doing whatever we can to support the people who support us. So I hope that you're not just donating money for the cause, but you're actually getting something back out of it. That's my goal. And there's Mike's unboxing, giving some good technical tips to Alex Cheek in the chat room. All right, Mike, when are you coming on? I'm going to start twisting your arm more. Start backing you into a corner, make you commit. Nothing says welcome like forcing. If you haven't checked out Mike's channel, be sure and check him out. And if you want to learn more about BIOS updates, our good friend Planet Cryos For whatever reason, his channel is going to become the BIOS update heaven of videos of how to do different kinds of BIOS updates. Well, different processes of the way to apply BIOS updates. And never once does it ever fail. Doesn't matter if it's a laptop, a desktop, a pre-built or self-built computer, and he demonstrates it on his videos. Most of the time it's all unedited, so you're seeing it for real. And he does other videos, but primarily, and especially as of the last few months, he's been really hammering on all these different BIOS updates. So if you're looking that you want to feel more confident about doing it, that's a great resource. After you watch about 10 of them, you'll start to see they're all kind of the same, and that should eliminate any fear. Other than that, of course, our friends Doug Betts and Scott Merrill have their own YouTube channels, Live Windows Training with Doug Betts, who's live every Saturday. And Ask Your Computer Guy, Scott Merrill, is a great resource for edited scripted videos that come from a working computer tech. And if you enjoy the live interaction like what we're doing here, Mike's Unboxing does a mixture of both. Be sure and check out his channel. Give him a thumbs up, give them all a subscribe, show a little love. There's no downside to it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you for all the members. Welcome to all the new members. Thank you to Mara for all the work she does in the background. It's a lot of work. And, well, unless you're the one doing it, you may not fully understand everything that's involved with that. And I'm so glad I don't have to do everything by myself anymore. Also, coming up on Monday, I have not made the Nano KVM videos public because I don't feel ready. I'm having issues with it. And I don't know if the issues are a unit issue, like I got a bad one, a learning issue, or a software issue. And it just so happens, when that unit was made, the version that it shipped with of the application was 1.1.2. But by the time I got it, the version was 1.1.4. Yesterday, they released 1.1.5, and we'll do that live tomorrow. We'll bring it out. We'll update it to 1.1.5. It's a brand new product. It's still rough around the edges. It's not been polished. It's going to take it about a year on average. So unless you're a pioneer and you like the latest and greatest, you should stay away from it. But if you like to be the first and you like to, grow with the product, it may be good enough for you at this point. I'm having issues with mine. I'm hopeful that the version 1.1.5 will resolve it. If it doesn't, I might have a bad unit. And the way I'm going to know is I've got a couple more units coming maybe in 10 days. And then at that point, I'll make a public video on it. But for right now, any discussion of the Nano KVM Pro, aside from what I'm saying right now, all the details in the members only videos, and it will continue on tomorrow's members only video, along with your questions and your interactions, which I look forward to. As always, I love engaging with you guys. I love it. So please don't be afraid to engage with me. David Herzog says, great show as always, Carey. Thank you, David. John Paul Bacon says, take care, peace and blessings for all. And Alan Lewis says, will the KVM be on the show tomorrow? Yes. All right, guys, thank you again for hanging out. Enjoy the rest of what's left of your weekend, and we'll see the members tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Till then, bye for now.